Jerry.
Yeah.
Oh.
We are live. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday. I am Jerry Sr. with Jerry Jr.
Good morning.
And we have three special guests today. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking it out. Thanks for your time and your support. And we appreciate you. And and feel free to comment and join in the discussion. And let's introduce our I don't know. I see a different name, Ray Anthony Height.
Good morning.
Yourself, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are you?
All is well. Are you with Marcus as well?
I am with Marcus.
Okay, great. And then we have
Speaking
Jamal
of Marcus,
Anansi as well.
Yeah.
He's also with Marcus. So thank you for joining us, gentlemen. And then we also have Herogeek here, Mr. Ron Christian. Thanks for joining us again for another live show.
At this point, I'm kind of, aren't I?
Go ahead.
I know you're stuck.
Oh, hello?
We got a lot we're going to talk about. But first, I want to talk with Ray Anthony Hyde and Jamal Nancy. I take it Marcus will be joining us when he's able to.
We hope so.
yeah.
We hope so.
Again. I don't know where you're at.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
But yeah,
he'll make a superhero landing pretty soon.
tell us about yourself, Ray. Are you a comic book writer, artist? What's your?
I do a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I do a little bit of everything.
Nice.
I write and I draw and I try to help people in the comic book community who may not otherwise get a shot. But yeah, other than that, that's about it for me.
Yeah, we definitely need more.
I'm being really modest right now.
Uh-oh.
Well, look, I'm here to support my boy Marcus, so it ain't about me. It's about not only this show. I mean, we're happy to be on the show, and from what I saw, I guess we're gonna be talking about Invincible, which I love. So, good.
Yeah, we're definitely.
Man, I just got done watching that show, the latest little season. Oh my God. That was so much. That was so much going on. It was like, because it's a story. It's always a story going on with Nolan and this went all like that. But then when the action started, and it just kept getting crazier and crazier. I was like, come on, man, it was like a roller coaster ride, but it just kept going in circles, and it was dope. It was dope.
And Jamal, you were telling us you have your own book, correct?
Yes, I have my own book. I have a few books. Just got to update my website. I have about 10 stories total from about 5 or 6 artists. I work with as well, visual artists, including, Marcus Newsom. We did Sincere American Nightmare together. This is for Anthony Height's cover behind me right now. Yeah, it's a great stories.
Great.
Fantastic, illustrations. Yeah.
And is there a website where people can find it?
Absolutely. You can go to janansicomics.com. You can also go to the team website, the Studio Skye-Tiger.com. You can go to both those websites. My own personal website, you see all my stories and everything with Nansi Comics. But, I'm an imprint of Studio Skye-Tiger. So you go to the Studio Skye-Tiger.com. You get to see not just my stuff, but, the other art and amazing, talents of all the other artists within our studio, within our stable. And we got a whole bunch going on. Marcus, one of those, one of our great spectacular artists that's, killing right now, making things happen. Yeah. So we're really excited.
Right.
I was looking at his site this morning, and just beautiful stuff. And how long have you guys been working together?
I don't know, Jay. What you think?
Well,
it's
been about 2 years and a
well,
half.
I don't know. I feel like it's been
a year,
more than 6 months, but not a year.
Man.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm kind of when we know each other.
I mean, we've known each other over 2 years now, but
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, like, come on, let's do this. Let's really put the game plan in motion and make 1 + 1 = 2. And we was like, man, for sure. So about a year-ish, like now, getting everything going. Yeah, but I mean, it's been a good year though, man. We made so much progress, made some great art.
Right.
You know, we got Compton Comic Expo coming up real soon. You know, we making
that's
strides.
right.
We got distribution deals, like we making things moving shake, man. So that's all about just us being ambitious, but also making sure we do things right and put out good art at the same time. That's the most important thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
And do you guys work with Marcus with the? Because I know he works with kids, right? Through the
he does.
Organization. Are you guys part of that as well?
No, Marcus is like the community, leader out here when it comes to comics and comics and stuff like that. He's everywhere and done everything and knows everybody. So we just watch him go, man. We just watch him go, do his thing.
Man, on everything. Yeah. Most are, ideas, all the good ones. Like Marcus just coming up like, hey, let's do this. He's like, all right, like, like cool. You know what I mean? Nah, but it's fun, man. It's amazing, right? I wonder where Marcus is right now. Speaking of, like, what's up? What's going on? Text me.
I know, like,
I still love him.
I'm sure he's just kidding. It sounds like he's always on the go. So.
Yeah.
He is. Marcus is always on the go.
Still here.
For real.
Yeah, okay. Well, appreciate you guys coming to represent. So, but yeah, we're going to talk about quite a few things, including Invincible. And we had some trailers drop this week from James Gunn. He's dropped a Clayface movie. And I have to admit, I was a little surprised. I didn't know they were working on that Clayface movie. So we have the Penguin series, and I heard a lot of people like that. I haven't watched it. I really wasn't interested. I saw the Joker movie, and I like that, but at least the first one. But yeah, apparently there's going to be a Clayface. Have you guys seen the trailer yet?
Yes, I have seen the trailer, and it looks really good and super duper creepy. Like I was like, because and it's
they did a really good job on
the thing is about special effects and everything. What I love and appreciate about DC now, man, is like you take these, when it came out in the 60s, kind of hokey archetypes, the Batman's the dark, the anti-villain archetype, because that's what basically they became, right? Superman became the supervillain, the superhero, archetype, the, traditional with the cape and save everybody, super strong man. Then Batman is the, anti-villain, the anti-hero and stuff like that. So it's like they became archetypes. So, now to take those ideas, like, no, let's take this concept serious to somebody in real life. How would they react to it? Not just in the actual world, but emotionally too. How would that mess with their mind? What would that look like? And articulate it, like, not just, okay, let's take Batman, this dude flying around in Batman suit, but let's take it serious. Like, what if? That's what everybody likes. I think the Dark Knight series with Christian Bale, or even the most recent one, Robert Pattinson. Like how these are more serious than like, okay, before you had the Michael Keaton Batman, which is dope. It's a classic. Nobody taking nothing but it's more hokey, more campy. You know what I mean? More, it's like, oh, okay, this is the aesthetic. It's a superhero thing. Can't really happen in real life. But like, no, those movies took the idea of superhero and made it so what if it happened in real life? And Clayface, I think, is a continuation of that. Like Penguin, I watched, I think the first 2 seasons of the first season of Penguin, spectacular. Like, and that's the concept, the same thing. Like, I appreciate good art, man, especially when they do something like that and just take it serious, like really dramatize it and make it like a real thriller. Like, come on, man, make it like a horror movie, really. And on the side of being, it just happens to be a superhero, genre, type,
that's what's kind of interesting.
But, make art.
The tone from the trailer. Well, let's take a look at. Let's take a look at the trailer real quick.
Yeah. on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. If that don't give you the chills right there when you look at it, it's like, I want to see that.
I mean,
I
it
don't know
makes
what's going
sense
on. I want to see that.
to approach it that way, like this sort of horror. That's why I wonder, and I'm wondering if he's going to paint Clayface. And I guess he kind of always has been a sympathetic villain, right? To some degree.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my introduction to him was in the Batman animated series, right? The Bruce Timm series. And, you know, which those were some of my favorite episodes with Clayface. And it's like he is this very tragic type of character, right? Because of he's this actor that falls from grace, and, you know, has this terrible accident, is disfigured, and he, you know, desperately tries to gain back those glory days and uses this extreme chemical to do it. It's quite the story. It's sort of this Frankenstein type of dynamic. So we'll see. I mean, his Superman movie, it did okay. You know, a lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't like it. So it'll be interesting to see the response to Clayface and see if will he be able to galvanize DC fans finally, rally them around him to support, you know, especially with the light of the merger and everything. Like, if this movie does well, will he remain at DC and stay in control, or what?
I was just going to mention that animated series because I remember there was one particular episode where there was like I don't know if you remember the Clay Girl. There was like a little girl that
that's right.
And she was her own entity, but she was a part of Clayface. And it was just the horror of
the most.
It was her and Robin. Her and Robin was like having like, you know what I mean, back in like a little romance, you know, type. It was fun though. I was like, oh, this is so cool. That was a cool.
It was very tragic. It was very sad. It actually makes you think of Samurai Jack in the 5th season. You know, similar.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that's quite the dynamic. So, but yeah, the trailer looks really cool. I mean, we'll see. You know, I don't know. You know, it'd be a bit ironic if this is the movie that kind of digs them out of the hole they're in, box office wise and everything. So,
I mean, I'll be honest, I kind of share the opinion.
I mean, I don't think it'll be this movie. Yeah.
I mean, you never know, because the Joker movie did very well. You know, it hit $1 billion. So,
which one? The first one?
It's certainly possible. You know, but that wasn't under
the first Joker movie, right? With the second one, I'm like, why do that?
Yeah, well, because it was made by people who didn't like fans of the first movie. You know, it was basically, you know, Hollywood has a tendency to punish the wrong kind of fans. Well, because they were trying to punish people who liked the first movie.
But why? I mean, nothing about Marvel. I mean, nothing about DC and Joker says musical. Like, it's no even subtext.
I agree.
You know, so the fact that you make this the overall arching theme of the wow.
You're right.
And I wanted to be good so bad. I'm like, oh, you're gonna have Harley Quinn in, and then Lady Gaga, like, this is gonna be dope. And then I watch it, it's like,
it's like
it's like I said, they were trying to punish people who were fans of the first movie, right? Because what happens at the end of the second movie? Joker ends up getting stabbed. You know, he ends up dying and stuff like that. They end up destroying a lot of the thematic themes that they set up in the first movie, you know, and they just make it hokier, right?
Yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, but you know, the problem with Hollywood in many cases is they see something and it's successful, but they don't understand why it's successful. And they see the wrong thing and say that's why it's successful, you know. And so then they change things that you like and throw in things you don't like and didn't ask for. And that's what happened with the second Joker movie. And it's like, no one asked.
That's true, but it wasn't by accident though, because it's like I said, it's like with when the first Joker movie came out, people were getting up in arms because, oh, you're not supposed to relate to the Joker. You're getting, you know, because they were upset that people were relating to the Joker. That's all. That's a big part of why they made the second movie the way it was.
It's about mental illness and people going through stuff, man. People, it's deeper than just cops and robbers, man.
Yeah,
you're right.
And that movie reflects a lot of that as well. That, and not only that, but that the Joker is, not who you picture when you think about someone who is struggling, who's poor, who's suffering from, just the world kind of kicking them in the butt constantly, right? Dysfunctional family.
Exactly.
He's not the picture you think of, right? And I think that was a big part of the controversy. It was like,
Exactly.
you're trying to make this guy who is basically a white male look sympathetic, when he's supposed to be privileged. And it's like, oh, well, yeah, but everybody suffers. It isn't just certain people groups, right? And I think that was a big part of that.
Story is a good.
And ultimately,
story,
it was a great movie. It was an excellent movie. So, at the end of the day, a good story.
And ultimately, see, I think that's why. Yeah, that's why I think DC is winning out right now, especially with the Absolute series, because they're taking the hero genre, the superhero genre, and turning it on his head. Instead of when somebody takes the reins of these superheroes. I mean, yes, granted, the editors and the powers that be within the big two say you can and cannot do a lot of things, but let's just say no, just let me. It'll still be Batman, but let me do a Batman that's like just my version. Like why not? And let's just see how it goes.
Batman,
take the reins
Superman,
off.
and Wonder Woman.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the best dynamic, man, of dynamic storytelling till it's finished, till it's fullest. It's like we always thought. I feel as a consumer, especially the big two, because the big two is like where it is a lot of times because that's they the standard. They set the standards, like it or not.
Yeah.
They set the standards for the whole industry. Not necessarily the the Japanese, and anime and manga and all like that. Not that. They just said American.
I think they used to.
Yeah, they used to, but they
they still decade or so.
set a standard as far as like this. They got market share. That's setting the standard for me. Market share. How much market do you control?
They've lost a lot of that.
At period point blank. Yeah, but they still have stakes. It's like it's them. That's why I said anime and manga and the whole Japanese the behemoth over there. But I'm saying
that's what I'm saying. They've lost a ground because they've changed some of these beloved characters so much and deviated from their core principles that it's isolated a lot of longtime fans. That's why a lot of comic book guys, they're not buying a lot of these new books. They're buying the older stuff. They're buying the classics. They're buying the trade paperbacks, and they're not buying a lot of these like Absolute this and that. Now, there's a few exceptions. Like I heard Absolute Batman, a lot of people like it, but I don't think it's selling as much as a classic Batman tale. And
because it's not Batman.
It definitely is. It's breaking records.
But then, like you mentioned, manga, right? Manga is outselling and outcompeting, not because of anything necessarily special. It's just the fact that they're telling stories that resonate with people far better than what DC and Marvel has been doing. And that's kind of the hard truth is, their market share is waning, and it's waned quite a bit right now. It's almost like the dollar itself, right? The dollar has been diluted because of, money printing and the Federal Reserve. And so a dollar doesn't buy as much as it used to 20 years ago, right? It's kind of the same with DC and Marvel, right? The quality of the book is not as good and as well received as it used to be, right? And so the audience has dwindled quite a bit, and they're kind of just, grasping at straws. And what keeps them alive is the local comic shops, which there's not that many anymore. So they're relying more on digital, as well. So it's kind of fascinating to see, like in real time, that they're kind of collapsing, but it's the slow, collapse that's happening, in slow motion almost. It's going to take years before you finally see it come to fruition. All the while, manga is just exploding, and it's going to keep exploding. And what you'll probably see with DC and Marvel is they'll pivot and they'll start trying to do more manga style books. You'll start to see them release more manga versus the classic American comics.
Like this.
And it's kind of fascinating. But yeah, we'll see how this Clayface movie goes. But I wanted to jump into something that was pretty controversial this week because I know Ron, you don't have a lot of time, but
right.
I wanted to talk about the last Invincible episode. where we have one of the main characters, Eve, who decided to not only not tell her boyfriend Mark that she was pregnant, but then chose to end the pregnancy while he was away saving the universe, quite literally. And then only to tell him once he came back, completely drained, PTSD, depressed, that, oh, by the way, I ended my pregnancy. It's been kind of a controversy. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people do, and one of those people is Mr. Christian here, and he did a post where he kind of laid it all out, and I feel like he kind of summed up the sentiment overall of a lot of people that dislike that dynamic of the show, and I for one appreciate it. But yeah, you want to comment on that, Ron?
Well, I mean, it pretty much speaks for itself. And I got a lot of pushback for the post. I've never been a big fan of Invincible or that kind of superhero storytelling in the first place, but I can't deny the fact that things like Invincible and The Boys and even some of the stuff like Peacemaker and whatnot, I can't avoid the fact that those kind of stories in the superhero storytelling landscape affect everything else, right? So I got to push it. Well, you don't watch the show. Why are you commenting on it? Well, because I care about superhero storytelling. So I understand that what happens in stuff like Invincible and Boys or whatnot affects everything else. It affects DC. And it's affected DC a lot, which is what you guys were just talking about. I didn't like Joker, and I'm not excited for the Clayface movie. And I think James Gunn is a hack. And, so I think that kind of superhero storytelling is affecting the stuff that I want it to be. So I'm going to comment on the fact that decision in that episode affects the larger landscape of this genre, and in a way that I very, very much dislike. Jerry knows this, but yeah. So I said something, and a lot of people tell me, "Oh, well, Invincible isn't for kids, and The Boys isn't for kids. It's adult superhero storytelling." But
right.
My argument is, okay, so it wouldn't bother me as much that this stuff exists if there was an alternate, right? So right now, there aren't any high-profile shows or cartoons that place superheroes straight, right? Every high-profile example is several years old. Right? So, people say, well, there's Superman the Anime series or Justice League or Spider-Man cartoons. And like, yeah, but those are very, very old. There's nothing right now in any streaming service or anything that's the equivalent of that high profile, well produced with a big budget and a lot of buzz around it. So, yeah.
And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think?
Well, I think
X-Men 97.
No.
I mean, and
I heard good things about X-Men.
And honestly, look,
some controversy in there as well. Yeah. But go ahead.
But so why do I think that is? Well,
it's wonderful because it's so broad. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know why. I mean, and my theory is kind of depressing. Maybe this is what people want. Maybe this is you guys were talking earlier, like you kind of like a lot of this stuff, and I don't know why, but I just want there to be a lot more alternative. I want it to be more balanced, and I don't feel that there is.
Well, Jamal, you mentioned something about it being more broad. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean,
Hello?
Oh,
I
I
think
think
and
you
it's like
froze.
it's always something for everybody. I mean, you know, can you hear me?
We can hear you
Can you
now.
hear me?
yeah,
Can you repeat that?
there's like a delay. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
go
yeah.
ahead. Finish,
No, I
finish
think
your point.
it's it's always something for everybody. So just because that Invincible and The Boys is booming right now, they just had a Superman movie that came out.
Right. Well,
And
about
that was more traditional, as far as, I
right.
think the general idea might be. But I'm saying, like, it's always something for everybody. It's just like it's trends. It's trends in everything. And even though it might be like, because when you say traditional Superman, I'm thinking like, or traditional heroes, I'm thinking like Christopher Reeves, or even, I think the Man of Steel was a turning point to they, can go dark and be like, okay, they can make this more serious. And that's where, the James Gunn, and he kind of started doing his thing as far as that universe, because it's always so interesting, especially what we see in the comic books, as far as DC and what they're doing. But I was saying all that to relate it to my previous argument that the reason why the absolute universe is selling so much now, or making so much strides and setting records within not just DC but American comics in general, is because they're allowing the artists and the creators and the writers to do something so drastically different. They allowing them to, they finally taking the reins off, and they stop telling people what they can't do, and they say, yeah, go ahead and have fun, and we, we'll figure out the rest later. But just tell a good story, and so they recruit the best, and now they're getting what they get. That's why I understand, like, people, American comics is down, they losing market share, like, yeah, but they have to realize they have to evolve, in their writing. That's one thing that the Japanese manga and the mountain and the dragon over there, that's what they never had problems with. They always allow their creators to do whatever you want to do, because it's so many creators out there. Like, how I'm gonna tell you not to do it when they gonna do it and then sell 1 billion and then become make Dragon Ball or make whatever.
Yeah, that's a good
It's
point.
so much. So it's like and that's
definitely.
Yeah, that's a good point about the
just
manga
about the
industry.
Americans just stop.
It's a very different thing. Yeah, it's a very different dynamic over there, because the artists aren't always employed by a publisher, right? Generally, a manga artist is also the writer, or they'll team up with a writer.
Yeah,
and they just do it, and then they submit it to like a Shonen Jump magazine, for example. They'll submit it, to these.
It's like we here at the end of the day. You here to make comics, or you here to make comics? I mean, we here to talk about make comics or making comics. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down at the end of the day. Because especially when you meet somebody who has talent, and I got talent, it's like, man, let's do this, because the only way we're gonna be where we want to be in this industry is making your own way. We can't wait for somebody to give it to us.
Yeah, I think that's something that was lost in the American comic industry. Is it became, like you mentioned, the big two. Why is there a big two? Is there, it's like, because they're the ones that are hiring the artists and the writers. And for a long time, they were hiring people that didn't really care about comics or the stories or the characters as much as they cared about their politics, or trying to make a statement in some kind of way. And they deviated away from what made comics special and fun. And it isolated a good portion of their audience, right? And so, but in contrast, you see that in Japan and other places, in Korea, etc., even in China, even in France as well. We fail to mention France a lot, but France has a lot of great comic book artists and writers. And it's like, it's an open market. It's the wild, wild west, right? You can write about and draw and do anything. And what happens is the best tends to float to the top, right? And it gets through the screenings and gets through the gatekeepers at the different magazines that publish these stories, these compilations. And then what happens? Well, then a publisher comes in and says, okay, we're going to publish it. And now you can do a full series now. Now you can do a full volume or whatever. And that's how we end up with One Punch Man and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and, Attack on Titan, et cetera, right? Because in the mangas, they did so well, right? But a lot of these guys started at, like 12 and 13 years old, building their stories and their characters. And then by the time maybe they hit 20, they finally get something fully published. And now they get a series of something in their 30s. And then, you understand, then it gets picked up for, we're going to make it an anime now, right? But, like JoJo's goes so far back, right, in the manga, right? But it's like just now in the last, decade or so, really picking up steam and popularity. And, it's the same with a lot of these titles. And it's like, they're not afraid to do the long haul, and I think that kind of got lost over here with Big Two because it became the Big Two and it became this sort of corporate thing versus it being this, like you were saying, like talented people just come together and just make something beautiful and put it out there and people.
I think the cultures are different too, man. I think the cultures are different. How I mean to cut you off, bro, but I think the cultures are different because think about the development of the genres in each respective country, right? The United States versus, Japan, right? Now, United States, they really started doing comics until like the late Wild Wild West, the 1890s or something like that. And you had the first iterations of, comics as far as, pictures with, words attached to them. Now, the art form in Japan was already high, high art when you had, the calligraphy and you had the, I forget what they're called, but they had the actual, the early hentai, all that's crap. But they had the art forms more developed over there, manga? Right over here. When people really started having fun and doing what they want to do in comics, manga. Okay. When people started really what they want to do over here, the government got involved and said, no, you can't do this, and you can't do this, and you can't do this because you're marketing this to kids, and kids can only read and watch and absorb certain things. So they kept it real PG. That's why the Comics Code Authority, happened in America. That really shorthanded and cut off a lot of creation at the knees because we couldn't even think that far, ahead as far as thinking about the story. I had to keep it generic so it can be, approved by this code, right? Which into like probably the early 90s or late 80s when they finally absolved that and everybody started really doing it.
Yeah, and that's when we found explosion
measurements, right? Now,
everyone
exactly. Now, on the other side, in
90s
Japan, they never had, exactly. Now, in Japan, they never had that at all. So creation was always fast forward, and plus, everybody says, and gets shocked and amazed, like, oh, okay, well, make books out the way. Yes, because more people per capita read them in their country. Per capita, people in America, they don't read comics and anime like that. Anime just started becoming a thing over COVID when the whole world was shut down and people had no choice but to sit in their rooms and watch TV. That's when anime blew up. But it was always bigger in Japan in a larger concentration. If 90% of the United States watched read manga and comic or had consumed DC and Marvel, don't you think that I have a larger market share? But they don't. 90% don't. Probably like 15. High, that's on the high end. 50% of the United States, consumes
that's a fair point,
Marvel DC on a regular basis. Over there, it's 80, 90, 95%. Yeah,
but that's a good point.
So it's like they're always raising that bar.
Let's not negate the fact that DC and Marvel are a global brand, right? So they had a global market even before manga and anime, and they still began to wane, and they began to wane not because Japan has more market share. They began to wane because the quality of their storytelling declined post the early 2000s, right? There's a point, there's a flashpoint, so to speak, where we saw a market decline in the kinds of stories they were telling, even the quality of the art for a lot of books. I think of what's the one? I can't remember the title off the top of my head. It was a Wonder Woman comic, and the art was so bad. It was like, what are they doing with Wonder Woman?
But
so
I agree.
Saying, like,
I agree, but
part of it is them kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Like, in other words, have the quality not declined? Your argument still stands that and manga would still be exploding, right? It would still be global. But at the same time, they would be exploding, and DC and Marvel would still be flourishing if they hadn't declined in their readership and their quality. That's all I'm saying. Like, there's enough market share. Like, people aren't choosing one versus the other. There are people who are reading both. Right? There's no, like, if I read manga, I can't read Spider-Man, right? Like, no one's doing that.
Exactly.
We're all reading what's good. And so if manga is good, we're going to read that. If American comics are good, we're going to read that. Like, they're not mutually exclusive, right?
And to piggyback off of that, and it goes back to something I think that both me and Herogeek are a bit upset about, which is sort of the core reason, is that a lot of Western writers keep trying to change what being a superhero means instead of respecting what it is. right? Which is being aspirational and stuff like that.
And that's no more.
But that's subjective,
in
though.
the
That's
latest.
art. That's the antithesis of art.
Well,
You know, if
sure,
you're
but
gonna create, you know, any
even
type
in
of story or
art,
create any type of thing, you
yeah,
take the
but
genre and you
I'm
take the
I'm
stereotype
gonna
and then
push
you
back
twist it, because
on that,
otherwise
though.
I'm just copying somebody.
Yeah, but I'm gonna push back because it's art, but not all art is good, right? There is objectively good art and there's objectively bad art, and it's okay to point that out.
No, it's not
And
true.
it's not
Not
always
true.
about that. Is
Yeah,
true.
to
That
you
is,
it's
there are
subjective.
things that are objectively beautiful and there are things that are objectively ugly. Like that's a fact of life. And so, in the landscape of
Nah, it's a
ideas,
twist of
there's
words,
a
but I
such
see what you're
thing
saying. No, go ahead.
as a good idea, and there's a such thing as a bad idea. That is true. That doesn't mean every idea that you don't like is bad, or every idea you do like is good. I'm just saying, but there is an objective truth that exists, and that spreads throughout reality, and that includes art. So some things are objectively bad.
You mind if I speak up for a
Of
little bit?
course.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So let's give some context. I want you to name one thing that you think is great, top tier, and one thing that you think is objectively bad, and the reasons for that.
You want me to name
In regards to comics or
No, we're talking comics, so it's comics.
Okay.
Yeah, we're talking.
I'll go ahead and say Kingdom Come because we were talking about it earlier with Alex Ross and Alex
Mark
Ross.
Waid.
Yeah, thank you, Mark Waid.
No worries.
And then you said one thing that you said is low tier, one top tier, one low tier.
Yes, but why do you think Kingdom Come is good?
Why do I think Kingdom Come is good? Because it came out at a time where this is like the I think mid '90s, if I remember correctly, where the superhero landscape was dominated by like anti-heroes and stuff like that, and
very true.
It sort of brought back sort of that golden age storytelling, but it still had enough of nuanced writing to critique it in a way that didn't disrespect why people love that era so much. Because throughout the story, there's a lot of critiques on both golden age superheroes and the '90s superheroes. It wasn't just this is better than the other. You know what I mean?
So no, I feel you. Yeah. So why particularly did you like it? Because that's a broad general statement. But why did it speak to you?
I mean, that's part of why it spoke to me, because I grew up watching a lot of like extreme. I grew up reading a lot of Image comics.
Oh yeah.
So like Savage Dragon and stuff like that. So I understood what it was trying to say, but also I think it has really beautiful art.
Now we're getting to
it. I really think that the way they portray Superman is in a way that's that really resonates with me.
There we go.
I think that there was a lot of gravitas to the story, and it was able to be, I guess I don't know what the right word is, but it was able to be. There was a lot of stakes involved, and it was able to be a serious, comic book without being needlessly hopeless. There was still light at the end of the tunnel.
That's well said. Okay, so now pick the thing that you think is trash.
Pick the thing that I think is trash.
Yeah, the thing that you thought was a bad comic, and give it the same type of level. Like, explain to me why you thought it was not good, why it was terrible.
Sure. I mean, I can't because I don't. I'll be honest. I usually read more manga than comics, but the last really bad comic I read was
well, manga is comic. So if you want to,
that's true. I agree, but I could bring up manga. I didn't like. Nothing.
You can do
really.
it. I got faith in you.
I found.
Don't remember the
Wait, say it. Say it again.
I saw him.
Is that your pick?
My pick for one of the worst comics I've read recently, I saw him, yeah, for sure.
You know what's funny? I completely forgot about
Isom.
I think that's.
I wouldn't say that's the worst I read, but it's definitely on the list. And this is no shade on Eric July or anything. But but
if you didn't feel it, you didn't feel it.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. I thought it was kind of just a lot of stuff going on. And to me, I do believe that objectively it's not very good. I really do believe that.
Yeah, but there's reasons why, right?
There are reasons why.
Personal taste, right?
There are a lot of reasons.
It's
a lot of reasons that I've spoken about. A lot of reasons that I've spoken about.
And we can argue that this is.
And let's be specific, because that's what the thing is, you guys. I'm trying to get you guys to think about specifics because we're all individuals here, and there's things that we like that speak to us, particularly. Even though we can like the same things, we could like the same book,
we can.
But come about it with different things, right?
That doesn't negate the point that there is objective truth.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. My point is that
I get it. Because that's your truth.
No, it's not my truth.
Well, no, it's not my truth.
But that's what we're talking about. It is your truth.
Objective means that it's not based on bias or anything. It's just a table is a table. The sky is the sky.
Right, but there's no such thing in art as objective
creativity as well.
There's no such thing in art as objective truth because people thought that Cubism was terrible.
It is
right.
terrible.
Right, so we say that it's terrible. But that's unnecessary. That's your truth.
Dadaism and Bauhaus and
right, exactly.
Like they point to things that objectively look nice, but like postmodernism in general, right?
But you can't impose your taste on
I'm not imposing my taste. I'm not telling you have to hate these things. When I'm saying
but you said it is bad.
There is such thing as objectively bad and objectively good. That's all I'm saying. Like
in art,
I agree with
because
that.
you like it doesn't make it good. That's all.
That's the thing. There's a lot of movies that are seen as bad, right? They're just bad movies. But if you like them, you can like something, right, that you think is bad or good, but to you, you're gonna continue to watch it. You wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree.
You wouldn't do anything that would hurt you.
Doesn't make the thing good just because you think it's good.
That's exactly. And so you just prove my point. You just prove my point because
my point.
It works. Well, no, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, there's no absolutes truly in life except death.
Well, I definitely
death is absolute.
Truth is absolute. There is good and there is evil.
Truth is subjective to each person.
No, it's not
true.
No, it's not.
It is subjective.
Reality.
That's like saying there is no
conversation with you.
You know
what?
No, truth is not subjective. Like
subjective because there's three truths. There's your truth, there's my truth, and the absolute truth.
And that's the only one that matters.
No, there's only one truth, and then there's your opinion.
So here's the thing.
Exactly.
If you believe something, it becomes true.
No, it doesn't.
To you, it becomes true. I'm not speaking in absolutes.
That's the difference.
You guys are speaking in absolutes.
If I believe it, then it's true.
If you
believe it, then you
believe it.
I don't understand how that works with your life. Like,
if you believe
I'm not.
So you jump off a building, you're not going to fly, sir.
exactly. You are not going to fly, but in your mind, that's what you believe until.
Exactly.
And here's let me tell you what's great about that.
What you believe.
I love that that's your point of view because it's perfect. Up until the point you crash and die or whatever it is, it becomes true until new information is brought to you that changes your truth.
That's not how it works.
That's not how the truth works.
Think of it like this.
You're absolutely telling me how truth works. And I'm not talking about, you guys are talking about in absolutes. You guys are talking
how
in
reality
absolutes.
works. Like your belief
Because
doesn't
the truth
negate
is
reality.
absolute.
That's the thing. What is true? People believe that Christ walked the earth is true.
He did.
It is. It's true.
It's not a belief. It's historically documented.
And this conversation is now completely understood.
Okay.
I
What's
get
that
it.
supposed to
I
be?
mean, what is your understanding of the conversation?
Because there are atheists that don't believe that.
I agree, and ironically, that's Robert Kirkman, and he wrote Invincible, and he wrote The Walking Dead, and you can see his beliefs. And listen, I would agree that the Walking Dead, for example, I watched the series, right? I haven't watched all. I only watched like I think up to season 7, but I'm like, this is objectively good. Like the show is a good show. It's entertaining. It does its job. And honestly, you can say that about Invincible. It is entertaining, and there are some things. There's the saying, "Eat the meat and spit out the bones," right? So it's not a perfect show, but it does have good things in it. And I think me and I were having that conversation the other day regarding certain scenes in the series. So yeah, I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry, my mouth is getting dry from talking so much.
that means it's a good conversation. If you can have a good conversation and it's a healthy debate, that's awesome.
Yeah, but Robert Kirkman, he is an atheist, and that gets kind of segues into another sort of aspect of this dynamic that I was thinking about, which is that and it's really a question I want to pose based on what you guys think, but isn't it? And this has been an ongoing conversation online and et cetera, but does it matter what the creator believes, right? Like, does that drive whether or not you support it, right?
That's what I was talking about.
In light of Croft, things like that.
There you go.
Like, does it matter, and does it matter to you?
Right.
It only matters to me.
Do you think it matters?
It only matters to me if it affects the story in a negative way, like them outright saying that heaven is a fairy tale and that demons are good and the Satan is good, which is what the show did, from what I understand. Right?
What show? Oh,
what show are we talking about?
Invincible.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. I remember that episode.
So if it's on the nose like that, if basically Kirkman is saying, yeah, you bunch of you believers in sky daddies and the fairy tale that is the Bible, and if he outright says that on the show and commentary, then like I'm dropping it. Like I don't want that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to be
And I love that you're saying that, because that's your truth, right? Like you don't want to see it, and you don't have to. You don't.
Yeah, which is why I don't watch the show.
You made the choice. Right, exactly.
One of the reasons I don't watch
people should respect
there's a lot of
honestly, I think people should. The problem is that people don't respect other people's choices. So if we're talking problems, like I absolutely respect that choice. If you don't like something and you don't like, you think that is like a load of crap, then hey, I say, hey, you like it, I love it, because that is your decision. Mm-hmm. You are grown and you are an adult, and you are speaking with intelligence. I think that's fine, right? But then the next person who's 100% for it, because it is a work of fiction, it's like if they love it and they're down with it, then that's for them. There's things like I don't like. It doesn't make it less viable, but I wouldn't watch them. I wouldn't consume them or whatever, because that's my choice. But if somebody else decides, hey, they love it, I think that's great. That's a conversation that we probably wouldn't talk about, because I have no context for it or even desire to talk about it.
Yeah, basically that was the whole first part of this stream, when you guys talking about Clayface and Joker and James Gunn. So basically that, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I figured we were talking about the similar point. It's that, my wife and I talk about coming from two different points and then ending up at the same goal. And I think that's what we're talking about here. We're ending up at the same point.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
It happens all the time. Exactly. And I think
that's not necessarily relative truth, though. And I think that's my.
We're going back to that.
Yeah. I don't want to get into now. We get into a theological debate,
Right.
Yeah.
But objectively,
regarding whether an author's belief system can drive your decision to support that author, right? And I think that's key in light of like independent comics, independent, content creators, etc. Like, does what you believe matter to your audience?
another part of the problem, is that why do I know what you believe? I missed the days where I didn't know anything about beliefs of writers of comics and whatever. I don't need to know. I don't want to know.
I don't think that ever really. Well, I don't know about. I can't speak for comics, but I mean, at some point, what people believe shows up in what they write, right?
Absolutely.
People knew that the guy
true,
who
but
wrote
if you're a good writer,
was a Catholic. People knew that George Orwell was
right. But if you're a good writer, right? If you're a good writer, you can do that without hitting me over the head with it. You can do that in a subtle way, in a way that I can continue enjoying the story of whatever you're trying to tell.
Right.
Well, I will say this. Let's take a gander at H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
H.P. Lovecraft was a raging racist. However, he has droves of fans to this day. He wrote some incredible fiction, but a lot of his beliefs are part of the DNA.
He's racist.
Right. Racists all get out. Mm-hmm. Right. But what he wrote changed the landscape of speculative fiction and
horror as well,
fantasy and horror and all of that. Even people who are
he revitalized the whole genre.
He really did. He was paranoid. He was xenophobic. He was all the things. But the thing is, what he wrote was something that was completely expressed through his lens. And people was feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we got Lovecraft.
I think that's what's powerful about art. Oh, my bad.
Oh no, I was just saying, we got an all-black cast. Lovecraft country. But go ahead, Jay. Man.
For Lovecraft country. Yeah. I was saying that's the power of art. Art is I think the one so powerful because it's subjective. Like one person cannot like something, the other person can like it. Like even when the previous example you said when you watched Invincible, and in the back of your head that this guy is an atheist, and so he's gonna parrot that ideology in his art. And I will argue, like, regardless of that, just appreciate the art in and of itself, right? Because if it's good or bad, weigh it on that measure. You can have what your ideas is for the author, but
that's a very good point.
Look, when you're when you're a creator, it's like regardless of what you're doing, you're always going to come from your inner truth because you're creating something out of nothing, right? So they, one of the old adage in writing specifically is like you write what you know. And so this is what he knows. Now he's not gonna probably hit you over the head. Some artists or some creators, some writers can do it more artfully or more subtly, so you can appreciate what they're saying. As far as like, let's say even in the Hunger Games, that's about capitalism, imperialism, slavery. It's all these themes in its overarching story. Now you wouldn't notice because we're talking about a dystopian society and we're on a big everybody's in this big competition, but yet instead these overarching themes that they touch on, she touched on within that story, and that's the grace of art, right? One person can hate one version of the same thing. So one person can see, a banana taped to a wall and think this is a waste of time. Why are we here? This is what's wrong with the society. But that same artist can no, there's a story behind this banana taped to a wall. This can be art too. That's the very point. It's the story behind this toilet. I can sit on this pedestal and say this is art. Why? Because it means something to me. I was creating something. I looked at this and I was going through something at that time and I want to memorialize that moment in time. So I'm putting this here. Maybe it's what you, but that moment I was happy at the moment I found out about girl. Exactly. But that's what you can call it art. You can call it art, but it's the art.
Still just relativism. It's
the one thing that makes art. The one thing that makes art valuable is just story behind it. I can give you a painting of a box, but I can tell you I looked at this box for long and I had all these revelations, things like that. Say it again.
You said the one thing that makes art valuable is the story behind it.
Yeah, the one thing most valuable about art is the story behind it. Because one person can see, You know, like I see, okay, for example, you said what's a good comic and a bad comic. I've been to Comic Cons where I picked up a comic and to objective eye, it'd be like, this is horrible. He just started, she just started this, that, and the third. But I looked at that as a beautiful thing because so many people talk about making comics that the fact that this person not only made a comic but had the audacity to have their own table and sit and sell that thing, that's 10 steps past the other person with the 9 out of 90% of people would do. And so that's valuable. I would appreciate that, and I'm gonna support that because but that's the thing. That's what one person will look at that book. Yeah, no, but I'm saying, but that's
and I can agree that.
All right,
that's what I would say. I would say it's beautiful,
but that doesn't negate the fact that the art itself is still objectively bad. Like you can say, "Oh, congratulations, you made a book, and you're selling it. That's wonderful." That doesn't mean the book is good. That doesn't make the
You're
book
looking at it as a critic.
Good.
I'm looking at it as a consumer, just
no,
a kind of sort.
Well,
one person can look at Jason Pollock on the wall
I,
and be like, one person can look at Jason Pollock and be like, I'm not buying that.
Why can't we do
I can do
the
that.
act of creating the art. That's what I'm saying. The art itself can still be bad, and the creator can be a nice person. Like it doesn't show to the quality or character of the person per se. But a person can make a book, like you're using your example. You know, you see it on the table. And you're like, yeah, this isn't very good at all. This is bad. But you see the person and go, but you know what? This person overcame a great deal of odds and had a lot of courage in making this book because I know it's hard to do.
Yeah,
right?
but it can still suck.
But that doesn't make the thing good. That's all. That's just reality. That's just facts. Like there is an objective good and bad. That's all I'm saying. And what you're saying,
did we talk about One Punch Man earlier?
We mentioned one. Yeah,
you mentioned it, right? So the creator one is not a great artist, but the story was so good that it became one of the best selling.
But, okay, here, listen to what you just said.
The story was good.
The art was bad, but the story was good.
I said he wasn't a good
distinction.
I didn't say the art was bad.
Said the art was so bad.
You said he wasn't a good artist. You said he wasn't a good artist. That's fair. You're right.
Yeah, I said he wasn't a good artist.
But that means his art was bad.
I know a lot of people who aren't great artists, but they have moments where it's like, this is really good. They're becoming.
Sure.
I like to say the term "they're becoming" because it's practice.
That's fine. I mean, that's nothing objectively wrong with that. All I'm saying is that the output itself can be bad. That's what I'm saying.
But the comic was good.
To a wall.
But the comic. Oh God, that banana. That banana tape. I love that.
What do you? Hold on.
I love it.
What do you do? What do you do when both the art and the writing is trash? Like ISOM, honestly.
I love that ISOM is like in top time.
That's fire.
Oh my god.
They shoot.
So personally, I've never picked up ISOM. So I can't say, but I haven't. I've heard good things and I've heard bad things, and here I've heard like it's across the board. It's not good.
I've heard that as well. Yeah.
I mean,
I would disagree with it across the board. No, there's some good stuff here and there.
Okay, see, there we go. There's some saving. Is there some saving grace?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so
I don't think so, but okay.
Man, I will tell you this: on a Saturday, you guys are cracking me up. I love it. So look, I think when you have a book that you think is bad, I mean, let's just take the word bad. When something is bad, that means that there is nothing good about it whatsoever, right? Like when that's pretty straightforward. So if you felt that ISOM was bad and you gave it a shot, you actually read it, right? Mm-hmm. Like you actually, guess what? I respect that because you picked it up, you gave it a shot, and at the end of it, you're like, this is bad.
Yes.
Right.
I can acknowledge that. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that wasn't the last Rippaverse book that I tried and didn't like. I also did it with Alpha Core because
I forgot they had another one.
I thought, Chuck Dixon, he's a legend. I love his writing for the Robin and the Nightwing series. I thought, you know what? this is not by Eric. Maybe it's going to be better. It wasn't that much better, honestly. I mean, it was a little better, but not by a lot.
It was a bit better world building, I think, than ISOM was.
Yeah, but I still had a lot of issues with it. It
And the
was
art was
still
better,
very,
too.
very
The art was
flawed.
better. The action was better.
But
it's
you know,
definitely a better book.
and that was it for me. Like the Rippaverse is kind of not it for me. I am excited about the Blue Shift comic by Andrew. He's a good friend of mine, and his book is the one that I'm gonna give a real shot to.
That's fair. But yeah, that's something I think is something to think about. Like, and your H.P. Lovecraft example is a great example. Like, you can appreciate the art of someone that you objectively don't agree with.
Right. Exactly.
And like I said, I've watched Walking Dead, and I like the show. Although I do recognize certain dynamics that exist not only in The Walking Dead, but even in Invincible to a degree. I kind of suspect there's some. Well, I don't know if I want to go there right now. I kind of suspect there might be some racial bias with Kirkman. So that's another conversation, because watching The Walking Dead, I'm like, there's a pattern here.
I got a question for you guys.
So
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you know what H.P. Lovecraft named his cat?
No.
Yes.
Everyone knows what H.P. Lovecraft named his cat.
I don't know that.
It's not a secret anymore. Oh, he named it the N-word.
Oh, is that it? Oh, that's a strange name for a cat. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Was it a Negro cat? Or was
oh my
it
God.
hard R cat?
Hard R.
Hard R. Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. But no, I mean, so you see, like, the thing is, which is great about having debates like that, which so many people are afraid to get into it, is that, all of us are coming from different backgrounds, and there's so much that we agree on. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it's so interesting to me. I mean, I don't know you guys, but I always like to play devil's advocate. So
We know that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Because that's growth. Like, that's how we learn about people, right? So it's the same. So you talked about Mark Waid. Mark Waid is definitely he's a liberal.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So interesting about Mark Waid is that, like, yes, I can't stand him on a personal level, but I can't deny the fact that I like a lot of his writing.
He's very talented. He's a talent.
Yeah.
But one of the best things about his ability, he said, I took his class, and he was talking about, if you're not able to write the opposing view of somebody that, a character, then you're not that great of a writer. If you can't see the point of view of somebody that you disagree with, that's why when you read something good, it shows both sides of the situation.
Yeah.
But
it shows it honestly.
Thank you. It shows it honestly.
That's something I always contend, and I got this from reading Invisible Ink, which is a great book. He talks about how writing is about telling the truth.
Yes.
And if you don't tell it, I think that's why a lot of stuff, as of late, right, in the last maybe decade or so, maybe longer, doesn't land with the general audience, because it doesn't tell the truth. Like you brought up, talking about both sides of a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And presenting it truthfully, right? That way it's almost like you can't really tell which side the author leans on, because he's presented both worldviews in a very honest.
Well, depending. Okay, so this is a good example. Depending on who you ask, back in the 70s and the 80s, Green Arrow, we know is a liberal character, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So back then, was it on the nose, or was it told better by Denny O'Neil and whatnot, the writer, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I know that Green Arrow is a very liberal character, but from what I've read, they don't do it the way that comics are written now, that makes any sense. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah,
No,
the character as a human being. I think there
it is. That's a point.
He's not a representative of a talking point like we see in a lot of more newer comics, and as like I said in the last decade, so where it's like this is a stand-in for this social issue or this talking point, versus we're going to tell a story that may include these issues, but we're going to present these characters as characters.
A clear example is another clear example is how Dwayne McDuffie wrote the original Milestone comics like Static and and Icon back then when they came out versus what DC did with them recently, you know?
Yeah, that's a big difference. And you owe how great the Justice League animated series is
to Dwayne McDuffie. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
so that's exactly right. Yeah,
you know, I mean,
it's like it wouldn't be what it was without it. I mean, that's
exactly. And I had the pleasure of knowing Dwayne. I mean, actually,
really?
Dwayne and Dennis Callan were my mentors, and so
that's awesome.
This is why I can have these debates with you guys. It's something that when you bring it down to the human quantity, that's where the best stories are. And the best stories are there as many opinions as there are people on this planet.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a such thing as objective truth.
And we're bringing it back. I love it.
Hold on a second, Ray, because I want to point out that you agree with the earlier statement about to tell a story is to tell the truth, right?
Yes.
But you also point out you believe that truth is subjective.
There's three truths.
Exactly. Because Donald Trump has a truth.
Well, Donald Trump has an opinion.
No, to him. That's what we're talking about.
Right,
humanity.
but that's the thing, though. You keep labeling opinions as the truth, and that's not the case.
No, I think you're interpreting what I'm saying as opinions as the truth. No, that's not actually what I'm saying.
Perceptions.
If we were talking about, what I'm actually, I'll separate it. I'll go real. My wife calls it cerebral. There are absolute truths to the universe that we know of until we find something else. I'm also a science, geek, and that what we believe to be true in the 1800s turns out not to be true now. So the truth changes as intelligence grows, right? So
you're talking about scientific observation.
Exactly. In my mind, that's my wait. That's what I think is truth. And that when we're talking about absolutes, that's what I think about that. But when it comes to human beings are complicated. They're very, very complicated.
They are complicated. That is
complicated. And because if you talk to a man that sees, bugs crawling on people, in his mind, that's actually what he sees. We see nothing.
Right, but that's called delusion, right?
Is it
called schizophrenia? That's called.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's what we have called it. That's what we call it. But you guys are arguing that in my mind
is seeing something that isn't there.
Right. So for somebody to tell you, let's say you get into a conversation with an atheist, and they're telling you they're great, they're beautiful people, that they definitely believe in the goodness of humanity, and they would do things that are very Christ-like, but they just don't believe in Christ, right? So when you think about that, what do you think their truth is? I want you guys to think about that. What do you think their truth is? The Bible didn't tell them to be a good person. They just happen to be doing things that are very Christ-like. What do you think their truth is?
The truth is written in our hearts.
Right.
And the Bible
teaches that. And so you see that? So that is on a human level, right?
Because what you're talking about is they understand certain absolutes regarding goodness, like being kind and nice to people, right? Those are absolute truths, right?
Are they?
Yeah, they are. That's why we all understand them.
Then explain
that's how we can have a conversation right now, is because we agree that certain words mean certain things.
That's
like
because we gave them meaning.
And they, and him, and her.
Right. We gave them meaning. Everything in life.
Well, we didn't give them meaning; they have meaning.
We
right?
we empower that meaning. Think about languages. If I say a word that I will not say publicly in French, it means something derogatory in English. We give the words meaning.
Well, of course, words have meaning, right?
You see? So but we give it to them. So you said words have meaning. Yes, I'm not denying that they do, but we give them the power.
Statement. Words have meaning.
We give them the power.
The air is around us.
Exactly.
The wind blows. Water is wet.
We give it to right.
Dirt is dirty.
Those are all absolute. How about water is le bleu? Okay, water is le bleu. What does le bleu mean?
I don't know. I don't speak.
Does le bleu mean wet, or does it just mean it's blue?
You just interpreted le bleu as wet, right?
Well, I'm asking you.
Yeah, but
you said does le bleu mean wet? You didn't say it means Rocky Mountain. You didn't say it means Rocky Mountain. You said it means wet because you derived it from the context.
Okay, context is important.
That's all this is, and context comes from our experiences.
Listen, context is important. That's an absolute statement,
right?
It's an objective.
Is it? It's an absolute statement because
it's an objective truth.
What makes things absolute?
Context is important.
What makes things absolute? Because if that's our debate, we stop talking about Invincible. We're wholly off topic. But however,
I know I told you I didn't want to get into.
Thank you. Somebody said this is irrelevant. Thank you. It's all irrelevant. This show is supposed to be about Invincible.
It's not irrelevant. It's very relevant because we can have an honest and truthful conversation.
Actually, you're right.
If we don't agree on,
I take that back.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep bringing it back, because my point is that there is objective truth. You just stated something objectively, that context is important. That's an objective statement.
But is it an objective
universal statement?
Is it absolute?
Yes, it is.
Why is it absolute?
That's my point.
I think it's hilarious because why is it absolute? I mean, we can both agree that it is.
Because it's reality. That's why. Whether you agree with it or not doesn't change that fact. That's the point.
Do you agree with it?
If we both disagree that context is not important, we will both just be wrong.
So remember when you mentioned the thing about a guy thinking that he could fly? And then, all right. So let's go back to the science. Gravity seems to be absolute, right? If you have nothing to propel you.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Gravity itself is absolute, because if he jumps without a hang glider, without any propulsion, whatever, only body weight, he's going to plummet to the ground.
True.
And that is because of gravity, right?
Yes.
And so gravity, despite what he thinks it is absolute in your mind, right?
No, it's not absolute in my mind.
No, it is. Because why is it not absolute in your mind?
Because it has nothing to do with what's in my
mind. That statement's not true.
That is true.
It's not true, because you said it's not absolute in your mind. It is, because it's absolute. It's absolute in mine. It's absolute in a lot of people's minds.
It's absolute because it's absolute.
Why is it absolute though?
I said it's
because it appeals to the standard outside of oneself.
Right. That's exactly.
Somebody said this. Okay, so now this is a great statement. Something is absolute when it appeals to a standard outside of oneself.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. Exactly. But but here's the thing. Why do you know that? That's what I'm asking. I'm not debating whether it's absolute or not. I keep asking you a question. Why? It's everything in the universe is about those three letters. Is why.
What makes something absolute?
Thank you. I love you, man.
It's what makes something absolute.
Thank you. You're beautiful. You finally this is what I'm asking. That's the debate. The debate for me is why
what makes
is
something
it absolute? Yes.
That's the debate. Reality does.
Right? But now we're talking
outside, go walk around and interact with people and things.
Don't touch grass.
Absolutely all around.
Go do things and live a life.
Just go outside. Go exist. It's there.
And so existence what is existence? You see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I don't. I think you're conflating a lot of things.
I am not conflating it. I'm asking you a question that you cannot answer.
A basic, simple thing that is observable. Go outside.
What have I not done?
Go in the kitchen and put your hand over a flame.
Yeah, I think you're doing
there
a
are
lot
absolute things, sir. That's it.
You just told me I was doing something, right? And in your mind, that's absolute.
But what are you talking about?
You said you are conflating things. That is a statement.
You are conflating things.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
And that's the problem.
That's not a problem for me. I don't.
Right, it's not a problem for you.
I'm not understanding your point.
Then that's the problem. So
what makes it a problem, though? I don't.
Well, I mean, so Dad, he's asking. So what he was been asking is what he says. What is absolute? I think what he means is what makes something absolute. Which,
and I said reality.
Right, and that's something that's outside of yourself.
Right. Which the statement said.
Your existence.
The statement said it.
He said, "What is existence?"
Well, that's the thing. I think you're both saying the same thing at this point.
I said that earlier, but we keep going back to this somehow. I don't know how we keep going back to this because.
Hold on.
He's trying to argue relativeness, and I'm saying no. Everything's not relative. I'm saying absolute truth exists. He's arguing that it does not.
What is the worldview of truth? Answer me that.
What is what?
What is the worldview of truth?
What do you mean the worldview?
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Like define what truth is. What real truth is.
Well, it's something that is indicative of reality. I guess that's
exactly right.
Look, a truth is something that can be measured objectively by multiple people and they can get the same result. That's truth scientifically. Anything else is...
I'm going to add a piece to that, Jamal, and it cannot be changed.
Yeah, because everybody who does the same exact experiment gets the same exact result. That's absolute truth.
Yeah.
Now, anything beyond that, that's subjective, and that's... Because this is where our original argument was. This is our original debate was going. Yes, there are absolute truths. There are objective truths, yes, except in art, because art is so subjective. Like, and I was saying the original example before, like, yes, can something be, yes, something. Okay, let me finish. What I'm saying is, in art, something can be objectively, not in art is a one genre that something can be, there's no, certainty, there's no absolutes. I'm gonna give you an example. The Jason Pollocks, people see that big Jason Pollock thing. One person can see, just a whole bunch of, paint just squiggled in lines on, some paper. They can like, man, that's worthless. I can do that myself. But another person might see that same exact painting and pay, 10, 11, $12 million for it. That's proof that art is subjective. Like I was giving a previous example before, somebody can look at a banana taped to a wall and be like, this is ridiculous, this is a waste of time. Like, no, this is my point that art can be anything, because this means this to me. And that's the meaning behind it. Now, another person can listen to that story and be like, oh, that's dope. And I agree with that. And I will pay this, how much, then you put a price tag and that's a whole nother, conversation. But yes, there are absolute truths. There are absolutes about gravity because multiple people have been, studies around, separate independent studies that verify the same thing. Those are absolute truths when it comes to science. That's how we got lights. That's how we got, that's how we build, our modern world, because these absolute truths are what, we can come together and engineer and build things or break things down. That's how the absolute truths work in the world. That's what you're talking about. Yes, reality. We're not talking about those absolute truths. Yes, that's fine, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about in art. In art, there are no absolutes. Everything is subjective. I can read a comic and I can be like, I love this. You can read that same exact comic and think this sucks. I'm never going to read it again. I'm going to burn it. I'm going to throw it in the trash.
Apparently, like,
and that's okay. Why? Because that's the power of art. Yeah.
So here's the thing, Jamal. So here's the thing, Jamal.
I still disagree. I still disagree with that.
Well,
and it's okay that you disagree. I think it's totally fine.
And that's the point. And that's the point.
That's what I've been saying. But
I'm
not even going to talk about it no more. I'm done with it.
Please, let me say what I want to say. Art can be subjective. I'm not arguing against that, but there is a such thing as good art and bad art. That's what I've been contending the entire time. That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's the thing, Dad, and I want to comment.
People had against comic books because they think comic books was a low art and never took it serious.
Well,
That's true,
fine.
but
yeah, that's still subjective.
Because
man.
the powers that be, the hoity-toity people, like, that's not art, that's low art, this is not art, this is quality art, it's only in the gallery, and it's only been painted, it's only in acrylic and these oils. Yeah, see, now you're doing the same exact thing. Remember the previous debate we had before,
No, I'm not,
where in
'cause I'm not
America,
commenting specifically about
this is the
comics.
same.
I'm not.
But listen, this is the
I'm
same
not
exact
saying
argument.
all comics are objectively bad. Or
I understand that.
well,
No, I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with you right there. I'm saying your stranglehold on your logic is putting. It's like, for example, where we just talked about how, you know, in America we had the comics code, and that was restricting a lot of people from doing that, and how in Japan they didn't have that, and so their creativity and their industry boomed because of that. The same thing is going on here, to where it's like your preconceived, ideas, beliefs is preventing you from
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he's free.
There we go.
You're gonna have to repeat yourself.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
back.
thinking of a good idea. How about if I did something different? Like, how about if I just, change the mornings and went left instead of right? What if, it wasn't this and it was that? It's about just being creative and about creating a good story that's interesting, because if everybody follow along the same rules like the comic code, then you get the bland, reality that is Marvel and DC is what it has been. And a lot of people's passion for a long time, instead of the creativity that allows people to think outside the box and be as creative as they want to, because in Japan, a lot of their heroes is
I don't really agree with that.
You can
I don't think
hold on. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
It doesn't matter how creative you are. Writing is not subjective. Okay, example, like you have a comic about Bob crossing the road. Panel 1, Bob begins to cross the road. Panel 2 is Bob is crossing the road. Then panel 3, suddenly Bob is on an island in outer space. That's objectively flawed storytelling for a comic book medium, right? You can't just come out with that and expect, for people to think it's good, because it's objectively flawed. Art can be beautiful, but the writing can be objectively flawed, right? So it doesn't matter.
That's true, but I think we're getting too technical here. Here's what I want to say, because I do agree with Jamal on the topic of, like, judging.
How dare you?
Comic book. I know, right? My inheritance. No, but seriously, but here's what I'll contend with, Jamal, is that yes, art is subjective, but if we look at, and this is especially true for stories and storytelling, is that the most popular and the most famous stories that we have are those that tap in to universal truths that we all understand innately. We don't necessarily have to verbalize those truths. We feel it when we interact with these stories, right? The Lion King, Superman, Lord of the Rings, even non-Western stories, Journey to the West, Legend of the Condor Heroes. Yeah. And these are all stories that tap into things like heroism, self-sacrifice, the importance of family and brotherhood, things like that. So these are all objective truths that we all understand because of human nature. And so when stories, especially, so when we see a movie that we just think is okay or all right, it's not, we're not able to verbalize it, but we understand it's because it didn't tap into something that was true. We just don't know how. We just don't always verbalize it. We just say it was okay. Does that make sense?
That makes 100%. It doesn't resonate.
Yeah. So but it doesn't resonate because it's not true. And even if you don't have to say that it's not true. But we feel it, and I think that's why a lot of people, like one of our guests earlier was like, yeah, the Clayface thing looks interesting as a movie, but I'm not really excited to see that. I feel that way about a lot of movies nowadays, because they don't tap into something that's true. It's not every movie that comes out, but it's stuff that.
I mean, my main problem with projects.
I think there's a reason why a lot of people are, as my dad mentioned earlier, are going back to older stuff, because it taps into something that we all innately understand that's true. Like, I've been watching a lot of. Say that again, Jamal.
Make comics great again.
Make comics great.
Oh my gosh!
But I love this dude so much, man.
I didn't hear what he said.
but
What he said?
he said make comics great again.
Oh,
That's all. He doesn't make it okay. But I've been watching I love bringing up this movie because it's a movie that was made to sell beer in Japan. It's called Penguin's Memory. It's a movie about a war veteran that comes back home and he doesn't fit into his family. They're all hyping him up because he's a war hero.
Kind of in the Matrix.
Not realizing the trauma he went through. So he goes his own way. He becomes a bum, traveling America, and he ends up in a small town. There's a romance and stuff. Oh, by the way, everybody is a penguin.
They're all penguins.
Right? And it's nuts. But the movie taps into something that it taps into a truth that people feel and relate to, even though it's so whimsical and ridiculous, right? Same thing with something like the Ninja Turtles. It's a story like especially the original movie, right? It's a story about. I mean, it's in the title. What's on the can is what you get. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja. That's the stupidest thing ever. But
it's
when
amazing.
you actually look at the movie, it's a story about the importance of fatherhood. What does Splinter say? All fathers love their sons. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when April O'Neil's talking about running her dad's old knick-knack store, even though he's dead. And she asked Leonardo, "You probably think that's silly," and he goes, "No, it's not, because he understands the truth." It's like, yeah, he's respecting her father, right? So it's like those are truths that we all understand innately, and that's something that a lot. I think that's a problem with a lot of modern stories because you either get people, especially a lot of LA hippies type of people. I say that because I live in LA and I went to film school, so I met a lot of these people who never actually lived life, and so they write stories based off of what they see on
idealized perception of reality. Yeah.
Well, it's not even just an idealized perception of reality.
Hey, real quick, I want to interrupt. I only had a little bit of time. I only had like an hour. I went a little over.
I was about to say the
I
same.
appreciate you for being here.
Yeah, thanks guys for hanging with us too.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
No, it was a good debate, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do this again.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you guys. Yeah. Thanks for standing in for Marcus. Tell him.
I know. I was thinking, where's Marcus?
Oh, let me do this too. I wanted to shout out his website.
Check out his art. Check out Comics for a Black Superhero.
Marcus D. Newsom. And he's doing a really cool stuff with kids. He's working with J3, I guess, non-for-profit organization that teaches kids about drawing and comics and inspires them. So please support it. Go to the site. What's this? Let me see. It is mnnewsomportfolio.com/J3. All right, so mnewsom.com. Newsomportfolio.com. Sorry, I'll put it in the chat. Check it out. Support this young man doing great things with comics. So it's really awesome.
Yeah.
And thanks guys if you're still listening. Thanks for hanging with us, man. It was a lot of fun. So that was great.
I do appreciate a lot of the points, especially Ray made. But I think he could have worded things better. But because after a while, it just sounded like you guys were making the same point, but I don't think he.
No, I don't think you were. I don't think we're making the same point at all.
I mean, yeah, it was a great.
He was talking about truth being relative because he said,
that killed me. Like
truths, and I said, no, there's only one truth. Everything else is perception of your opinion, and that doesn't negate reality. That's what I'm saying. Like what he's saying, he's talking about how people see things, and different people see things differently. That's true. That's objectively true. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He's saying all these objectively true things, which bolsters the point I'm making, which is there is objective truth, even in art. And what Jamal was saying was that art is subjective. It's like, yeah, it's subjective based on the people who perceive it. That's true. But there is objectively good and objectively bad. That exists everywhere.
So one thing I thought was funny when he brought up the banana.
I mean, well, like, do you guys know if he's like agnostic or atheist or something? Because
I have no idea. We've never met him.
I don't think.
But listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay, that there can be good art that no one cares about, and there could be bad art that everybody loves. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to get at. Is that doesn't negate the reality that there is objective good and bad. Right? Just because you like something that's bad doesn't make it good, and just because you like something that's good and no one else likes it doesn't make it bad.
Yeah,
you understand? Objective truth exists in reality, period. So when you start conflating things, you're trying to make these, well, this thing, everybody like that doesn't make it true.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Like, yes, art is subjective, meaning it's subjective to whoever it appeals to. That's true. But that doesn't make the art itself good. Just like the example he gave when he said, I go to a con, I see a table, and they have a comic, and I can see that it's not a good comic. It's a bad comic. But I still want to support the artist because they're a good person. They're nice, and he went through all these different obstacles.
Well, so
different dynamics. That's what they're conflating these two concepts. I'm like,
whoop-de-doo. So
the thing itself is still bad.
Yeah. So like, the person can be the nicest person in the world, but it doesn't change the fact that their comic is crap.
Exactly. That you understand? That's all I'm saying. There is a such thing as it's I Am Starfire. That's another one. Right? I'm sorry, that's objectively bad. It's terrible.
ISOM is objectively bad.
It is. I mean, I'm in agreement with you. Now, some people liked it. Does that make it good?
No, it doesn't.
Well, it means that it has redeeming qualities to it. Because there's something
look, we can pick it apart and go, well, this panel was great, or this page was good, or that's fine. But the point is that there is a such thing as objectively bad art and objectively good art, right? And the problem is we become, like mentioned, postmodernism. We're in this postmodern mindset where we think, well, anything can be good, and anything, like it's all based on how we perceive it. And it's like, well, no, that's not true.
By the way, guys, the early part of the stream where we were just talking about Joker and Clayface and James Gunn, I had to keep my mouth shut. I was like,
you could have chimed in. Yeah, you should have.
I know. It was hard to get a word in at that point. I had to get comfortable, and then eventually I spoke up. But yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but always feel free to just jump in when you can, man. And
because I was like,
fun. I mean, they argued in good faith.
It didn't turn heated or anything. It was
they kept it very lighthearted, and I appreciate that. I really did.
Yeah,
that was great. So it was a lot of fun. I haven't debated like that in a long time.
Are we still live, or are you? I don't know.
Yeah, we're still live. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, man. And thanks for joining us, man. I don't know if you want to say anything else, or you want to circle back right to. I was going to say ISOM.
No, well, I mean, a lot of the points.
We could circle back to
I wrote a bunch of stuff down. Hold on, like that I want to say. Like, no, hold on. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, take your time. But I would say on the topic of objective truth and storytelling, I think it's a good time to bring up Pragmata because
goes into what that's been doing the rounds as well.
Well, it's funny because like the whole Invincible thing kind of relates to Pragmata when you really dissect it. It kind of does, because Pragmata is very pro-family, pro-children,
Yeah.
And then what happened in
pro masculinity and pro manhood and
exactly
pro white male.
And then you have.
Here's the thing: this trope isn't anything that's new or innovative. It's just something that we haven't really seen in a while that's been played straight. I think is the real problem. Because, like I said, people. It's like I mentioned earlier. People try to reinterpret these tropes in a way that deconstructs them instead of respecting what they represent. And because pragmata is it's like I was talking with Afrocentric Jukebox, where it's like because we were talking about Fist of the North Star. We were watching Fist of the North Star. We were talking about this particular character.
By the way, I've been looking for a way to watch the original 70s Fist of the North Star dubbed, but it's non-existent.
Don't watch the dub. The dub is awful. I'm gonna just tell you that right now.
Oh.
Also, it came out like 84 or 82. But don't watch the dub. Don't watch the dub.
Okay.
But yeah, we're talking about Irons because he's in the story. He's a guy who adopted a girl, and he's a bounty hunter, and he earns money to take care of the girl of the child of his girlfriend who was killed by bandits and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's a lot of characters like that in Fist of the North Star. Freaking Kenshiro has 2 kids falling around with them, right? And he's like a father figure to them, And I'm basically saying that it's an old trope that you see in a lot of Japanese media. I mean, everybody talks about
wasn't that Wolf and Cub or
Piccolo
something?
and Gohan. Which one?
Wolf and Cub.
Well, that's his actual son, though.
It is. Okay.
That is actually because the argument against Pragmata is that
it's his actual child, and it's not a real child.
Well, not just that, but like someone had made a comment like, "Oh, men don't feel paternal instincts to children that aren't theirs." That's the stupidest thing that's ever heard. Yeah,
that stupid lady that is actually part of Tim Pool's like little circle.
Yeah.
I didn't know all that. But what's funny about that is that there was a game that came out that around the same time that Pragmata was announced, and that was Donkey Kong Bonanza, which was what's that? Oh, Donkey Kong taking care of a little girl.
Yeah,
and I made the comment last time when it first announced. It was like, man, isn't it crazy that we got 2 surrogate dad games?
But nobody had a problem with Bonanza.
Yeah,
no, people love talking about Bonanza
because it's a talking monkey. So.
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Some probably did.
Well, I want to go back. I want to go back to something that me and Jerry spoke about on the phone yesterday. Okay. Was that in Invincible, in that scene, Eva's not the only horrible person in that. Mark also reacted in a way that is completely just wussy and annoying, and like he didn't react in a way that a real man would react when hearing news about that his wife or girlfriend just murdered a child.
Yeah, not at all.
He just hugged her and said, and basically, "I'm sorry I wasn't here." What? He's apologizing for going out to another galaxy and fighting an alien invasion to save Earth, and it's somehow his fault?
Yeah, as
someone who's friends with a lot of veterans, that's not
insane
at all. Yeah. It's not realistic at all.
Yeah, I did that, and I saw the scene because I saw it in what's his name? Shoot, Daily Wire guy.
Tim Pool?
No.
Ben Shapiro?
No, the other guy.
I forgot his name. Yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't know.
But you actually posted that video.
Yeah, he referenced The Godfather, actually.
Yeah, that one.
Which I thought was pretty brilliant, actually.
So I saw the actual clip of the scene on his video, and and like basically Mark says like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't here." Like what? It was a lot worse than I thought it was because I saw the actual clip. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah,
really?
It's pretty bad. Yeah,
it's horrible, and people are defending it. A lot of mutuals and a lot of people like a person that's talking. I'm not going to mention this person's name, but Jerry knows who I'm talking about because we both deal with this person a lot. But so this person watches the show religiously, and at every instance that the show does something that is DI, influence, like changing the race of his girlfriend, Amber, or how Tech Jacket was gender swapped, I believe.
Oh yeah,
right?
that was weird because I read Ted Jacket. I was like, wait a minute.
Right. So at every instant, this person makes excuses. Right. This person claims to be a culture warrior, all about against DEI mandates and all of this stuff, right? But they selectively choose their outrage, depending on whether they're excited for the project or not.
That's ridiculous,
right? Yeah. So this person is. I sent this person the link to the stream today, and essentially this person sent back a message saying that they're sick of talking about it. They're sick of seeing it everywhere, that the controversy, basically saying he wants to not see it so he can still watch the show with a clear conscience. He doesn't want to be presented with the reality that this is wrong because he wants to continue to consume the show. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Don't question the product. Just get excited for product and consume the next product or however.
Precisely. Now, what I have a problem with, he pretends to not be that, but he is.
I mean, the fact that he calls himself a culture warrior tells me that he is exactly that.
Well, he doesn't. I don't want to say he calls himself a culture warrior, but he presents.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's
right. So he'll watch the trailer for the new He-Man movie, and he's excited about it, and I'd ask him like, well, what about this and this and this and this and this, and his response was, well, it looks fun.
Yes,
it looks fun.
I think it really just boils down to, you shouldn't let people gaslight you into not having standards. I think that's all it really boils down to, because a lot of people will do that for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
they will. They'll say it's just a movie, it's just a cartoon, it's just a and it's like I did with the Donkey Kong. Oh, it's just a talking monkey. Nobody cares, and that's a lie. You should care because these themes are important, like themes of family, of courage, of heroism, of love, right? Of sacrifice, right? Those things are very important, and they drive the culture. They
absolutely
continue to reinforce, and that's the problem that we're seeing with a lot of the content that is coming out from mainstream outlets, mainly, is that it's reinforcing the wrong things, and that's the problem with Invincible in that scene, is that it reinforces something that should not be reinforced. It should be discouraged. And not only that, but like we discussed, Ron, just story-wise, contextually as a story, this doesn't really work. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the reason
that can literally create
if you break it down like we did, and like if we break it down like we did, and people who know a lot more than I do about the story, that Eve had a large support system
Yeah, she did.
Right.
She has both her parents, and she has Mark's mom,
Mhm.
and she has a gay best friend, and she has other heroes, and she has unlimited power to create literally whatever she can conceive.
You know what? Also, she's practically immortal. Like, I don't.
Yeah, she literally
Spoiler for
died
the end
and
of the
came
comic.
back.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she does that a lot.
So
yeah,
that
it's
tells
like
that
it's
that
kind of
that,
wild.
that
It doesn't make any
No.
sense in the context.
So
of
even if you're someone who, let's say you agree with abortion, just on the story level,
yeah.
you should be like, this is ridiculous. Like,
That
this
tells
doesn't make
me
sense for this
that
character.
that tells me that not only did Kirkman force that, but the writers of the show did as well. Right.
Well, yeah, because you're right. They didn't have to, and we mentioned this, like they didn't have to. Just because in the comic doesn't mean they had to do it in the series. They've already race swapped and gender swapped characters. Why can't you say, oh, we're not going to do the abortion, it's going to be a miscarriage, or it's going to be something else?
Exactly. I mean, that's the way I would have done it. I would have done it as a miscarriage because
it's far more. It leaves the character far more respectable,
Mhm.
you know, and it also gives her a lot more depth as a person to go through that and have to deal with the aftermath versus it being a choice.
Yeah.
That's the distinction. It matters that it was a choice versus something that happened beyond her control that she just has to deal with. She has to figure out
a lot of people, I remember, like in the comments, a lot of people said, well, later on she and Mark have a family. Like, well, that doesn't change.
That doesn't negate.
It doesn't negate what happened.
It doesn't make it better. She still,
especially if there's never any type of redemptive arc for her, where there's some type of remorse, there's apologies, there's expressions of anger and emotion from Mark. You know, there's accountability, right?
Yeah, there's no
happen.
There's no accountability.
Now
Mark just
and then.
forgave her. Like nothing happened.
Kind of like, yeah, that's kind of wild, man. That's to me, that's a terrible way to tell a story. That's very
so honestly, I question this, this person that I mentioned. Like, how can this person, claiming to be faith-based and whatnot and all of those things, how can this person continue to watch the show with a clear conscience? I don't understand.
Well, it's being able to watch it objectively, though, because that's
right.
And I don't have a problem with watching it because I can see, like, yeah, this is problematic,
Right.
That's my
But the
goal.
thing is, though, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that because I would spend the rest of the show wishing Eve died. Honestly.
Well, my hope is that at some point there will come sort of a comeuppance or something where, later in the story there is this, I don't know, something, right, where it resolves this in some way, right? There's a consequence, there's a real consequence, but I don't know. Knowing Kirkman and knowing, what I've seen so far, that probably won't be the case. Even Nolan, the father, after everything he's done, right? It's like he really hasn't paid the price for it, right? He's just dealing with hurt feelings right now.
Are you talking about Omni-Man?
Yeah, Omni-Man. There's been no attempt by Earth, right, to try and bring him to justice or do, something. Like, even when he confronted Cecil, right, and this was the last episode, Cecil confronted him, I should say. It's like he didn't even suggest, like, why don't you turn yourself in and serve the time that you should serve? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why don't you let us punish you for your crimes, right? Like, that would be the noble thing to do, right? And that would at least work towards absolving you, right? Because now you're willing to pay the price. You're willing to take accountability for the literally thousands of deaths you caused, right? But that wasn't even a conversation.
No.
So it's like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like, what is the point? Like, and I even posted, I kind of replied to your post saying, like, what is the point of writing stories about heroes, whether it's superheroes or just heroines and, people put into trying situations? Like, what is the point if it isn't to protect and defend, whether it's their own life.
Yeah, and people in comments said like, oh well, they're allowed to be human. And I'm like, yeah.
And that's always and that was said in the last conversation, right? It's about being human, and it's like that's what secular humanism does. That's postmodern thinking, and it's all about being human. And being human means being morally depraved, right? It means that you give in to the temptations to moral ineptitude,
and heroes
rather than rising above challenging circumstances that challenge your character, and using those circumstances to rise above it, to actually hold true to your principles, right? And exemplify good character, even when it's hard, even when it's tough, right?
Right.
That's kind of what's happening here, and that's the prevailing thinking. That's why I said, like, Jerry, you say we're arguing the same thing. I was like, no, we're not. We're not arguing the same thing, right? So, and that's kind of indicative of what I'm talking about in this whole conversation is, Kirkman, he's an atheist, right? But he's a moral relativist. You understand? And because that's what it leads to. It's just human as well. You're a human, so and that's the only way you can do good.
That's just it. So so a lot of people really like the Skybound Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff, right?
That's true.
I don't because I see
Kirkman. The comics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see his handprints in it. I read the first issue of Transformers and I saw it. People are ignoring it. I don't know why, but it's got Kirkman's fingerprints all over it.
Well, what exactly is wrong with it?
Well, okay, so in the first issue of Transformers, the Decepticons killed a bunch of the Autobots, including Bumblebee, by the way.
Wow.
Okay.
Right. In the Ark, there's the ship. There's a bunch of dead Autobots, and Bumblebee is one of them. That already starts it off on what?
Yeah, of all the Transformers to murder.
Yeah.
But what makes that?
Well, no, I'm not.
It shows you what era of Transformers I grew up with.
I'm not finished yet.
Yeah.
At the end of the first issue, Starscream squishes a human in his hands.
Okay.
It's not shown, but it's got Kirkman gore written all over it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, they're the Decepticons. They're evil. So
No,
they're gonna do evil stuff.
I understand that they're evil, but it's. I don't know.
To be fair, if you go back and watch the 1984 movie, that was pretty brutal as well, and they were planning to make it even more brutal.
Right. Brutality against robots. I understand that.
Yeah, they killed off all the Gen 1 Autobots.
Right. That's fine. That I understand. Yes, but
even that at the time, a lot of fans did not like that. And I was one of them. So.
Fair enough.
But it's
and they killed Optimus Prime too.
And with
nobody liked that.
With the G.I. Joe comic, they did that as well. Like there's in a Cobra Commander comic, he brutally murders, and there's a lot of blood. And I'm not saying you can't go a bit more mature with these IPs, but I feel that they went too far.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
I guess so. The thing is that from what I've read and from what I've seen is that it's definitely more extreme in the violence, but I don't think that inherently means that that it's not like and I guess like I said, it kind of shows what era of Transformers I grew up with the Michael Bay movies, and even though obviously we can all agree that most of them were trash, but I'd say the stuff in the comics is pretty tame in comparison to the stuff that we saw in Michael Bay, and I think a big part of it is that you can still tell that the people writing the Transformers stories are still fans of Transformers. Like I remember reading, especially that first panel when Optimus Prime lands on Earth and stuff like that. I think that was a really great representation of Optimus Prime's character, right? Because he sees how beautiful uh, the world Earth is, right? And then he accidentally kills a deer, right? He steps on it, and he's traumatized. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" Right? It was a very Iron Giant moment. So
yeah, and in
we
contrast,
see that.
that was a great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say I'll defend the I mean yeah the fighting. I mean, listen, I think the fight scenes in the comics are awesome, especially when I think there's a part where Optimus Prime I think someone tears off his arm, but he picks it back up and like slaps someone with it. It was great, but yeah, there's a lot of really cool moments in the comics. I think at some point, Spike's.
I'm sure there is, but to me, the content was a little jarring.
What for? Just because of the violence?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I guess so, but I guess so, but I think one thing that's important to recognize is that, especially with these particular comics, is that they're most likely, especially since they're using the OG Gen 1 designs, is that they're written for people who grew up with Gen 1 who are now adults, right?
But
I
don't think
you're going to have a lot more.
I don't think that necessarily means you have to make it more violent.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's like the assumption that adult means more violence or more sex. It's like so that defines adulthood is sex and violence. Like
yeah.
Or why not just a good, compelling story?
Right.
Right, but it's very clear that they have both.
But my point is that saying that it's made for adults doesn't justify the use of excessive violence. That's all I'm saying. Like,
and the difference here, so
a lot of different
the
properties.
The difference here is like something like Invincible, which was initially made for adults, but these are IPs that were made for children first, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my issue, because, and I'm not saying it has to be just for children. I'm not saying that either, but there's a balance, and you want an example of a balance that a version that was a lot, like Transformers Prime, for example, that show.
Yeah, Transformers Prime was good.
Yeah.
But also that was made for television, so they're not going to do a whole lot of they're not going to do a lot of crazy stuff.
I think the point is that there was good storytelling that obviously didn't require. Not only that, but there's some indie creators out there. I wish I could remember the channel right off riff. They're doing Transformers movies, and same thing. They're not doing gore and squishing humans. There's
someone I saw, I was going to watch it, that essentially did another season of G1 set after the movie that I want to watch.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all. That's the point. Is just the fact that it's kind of deviates from the spirit of the original. Right?
Exactly.
Like, we want adult, but adult in my mind doesn't necessarily mean violence or sex,
no.
Or gore. It means a superior story, right? A story where there's no potholes, a story that's compelling in the sense of moral dilemmas and things like that, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying, versus substituting that for, let's just have them smash people and squish people. Let's have more blood.
And in the J. Joe comic, like, this is one scene I think I saw online where Duke walks into a building chasing somebody, and then he comes across a room with a bunch of bullet riddled dead bodies in it.
Yeah.
Like really? In a GI, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's an attempt to ground, right? And it's like, well, it's fair, it's just, I guess, to what end, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying is what is the end game here? Like, and is it really necessary? Sometimes it may be, and like Afrocentric Jukebox brings up Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, that's fair, but Jujutsu Kaisen is written that
that's
way
not.
to begin with.
That's also
the
not
difference.
for little kids either. So
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's written for a certain audience to start with. Therefore, yeah, it's already set up where you can have sort of the gore and the idea of killing and murder and those questions and those moral dilemmas, and you can still have that even in Transformers without, the excessive.
Yeah.
Well, I also think we're assuming that. Because I mean, and you could argue whether this is a good or a bad thing, but I think. I mean, there was a lot of. I remember watching a lot of stuff that was pretty intense that I probably shouldn't have watched. Guyver, Ninja Scroll.
Yeah, and
you weren't supposed to watch those.
I know, but here's my point. Here's my point, though.
Hold on. You know what?
But hold on a second.
I love Ninja Scroll. I love Guyver. I do
too. Ninja Scroll is one of my favorite anime.
Yeah,
Ninja Scroll. But it is. There is some gore. There's some sex. It's an adult anime, but that's the point, though. It's intended to be that from the jump. It was Ninja Scroll was not a kids' cartoon, and then they turned it into. And I think that's the point you're making, Ron. It's like, why are you turning it into something it really doesn't have to be? I think that's the point. It's like, gore and sex have to be equal to adult storytelling. That's objectively not true, right?
Like what they did. Another example is what they did with Velma and what they did to the Scooby-Doo franchise. That's horrible as well.
Well, that's the thing. You're bringing up stuff
that was
made by people.
Bad, by the way.
Yeah, but now you're bringing up something that was made by someone who clearly doesn't like or care about Scooby-Doo. That's a lot different. Like, I'm not like, when I read the Skybound Entertainment, I don't get a sense that they hate Transformers. I get a sense that they're trying to take it to the next level, especially when you look at what actually happens throughout the story beyond just the violence.
So they might be fans of Transformers, but how do I say this?
Well,
are they less fans because they made them more violent?
J.J. Abrams was a fan of Star Trek, and he was a fan of Star Wars.
Yeah.
You see where
that's debatable. That's debatable.
Well, no, it's not. He's expressed that, and then we still got not Star Trek and not Star Wars. So just because they claim to be fans doesn't inherently mean they're going to treat the IP with respect, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's true, but I don't get a sense that they're not treating it with respect just because.
Oh, fair enough. Because so far, the story is still a pretty solid story.
Like there's a lot of moments that are really cool that pay that really pay off the characters that we're used to from the OG series in meaningful ways. Like there's a scene, and someone who's read the whole comic, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember watching a YouTube video talking about the Transformers comic where it's Spike McQuicky and his dad, right there, and I think at some point Spike's dad ends up dying or whatever, saving Optimus Prime, but as a result, I guess his spirit is absorbed into Optimus Prime's core, which is what jump-started him. And so now it's like, Optimus Prime is literally Spike's dad. I'm like, that's crazy. But that's like...
what you just described, it sounds to me like a beautiful moment. It really does. But it does. It does. But I don't know. I can't get over that wall.
I mean, at that point, that's more of a personal taste thing, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think basically with Afrocentric Jukebox saying, gore for the sake of it is useless. sex for the sake of it is useless. But in the context, it has to fit the context of the story. And like I keep bringing up Fist of the North Star because listen, Fist of the North Star, believe it or not, is made for kids. Like
what?
Think about it. Shonen Jump is people who read Shonen Jump.
Well,
Little boys between middle school and high school. No, hold on a second. Boys between middle school. That's who reads Shonen Jump. Fist of the North Star is insanely like brutal, right?
Yeah.
There's child death. There's child slave labor. Kenshiro blows people up.
Yeah.
Right? But and they censored it a bit in the TV show, but all they really did was just make the blood glow in the dark. So instead of just being red all the time, so they probably made it worse. But what makes it for younger audiences is the themes that they tackle and how they tackle the themes, right? That's what makes it for kids. So yeah, Fist of the North Star, the TV show, like I could like Fist of the North Star, the TV show, isn't the same thing as Ninja Scroll or whatever MD Geist, because how it tackles themes of heroism and stuff like that, right? It's like it's about strong men being righteous in an unrighteous world where might makes right. Might makes right isn't always right. Stuff like that.
Okay,
that's what the kids need to know.
Right. I get that point. Also, and you know what?
That's more of a cultural difference as well. I acknowledge that.
If the Transformers comic wasn't a Transformers comic, or the G.I. Joe comic wasn't a G.I. Joe comic, this wouldn't bother me. Like, whatever. I might even check it out.
I think you should. And because, like I say, it's all about how it handles.
I don't think I can. I can't get past that wall.
I mean, and that's fine. Like I say, I don't think that's like, because I understand where you're coming from. Because I'm the same way. That's the reason why I don't watch a lot of Adult Swim stuff. Like even now that I'm old enough to watch Adult Swim, I don't like a lot of. I don't like Robot Chicken. I don't like Family Guy. Well, I don't like most of Family. I like older Family Guy. I don't like Family. It's not something that I'm really into. I don't like
what I would have
Aqua Teen Hunger Force and stuff like that, because it's all like nonsense and gross stuff for the sake of it, and it doesn't really appeal to me. But I love King of the Hill. King of the Hill's not for kids. I love Home Movies. Home Movies was on Adult Swim.
But my point is, okay, so I found out recently that after the G.I. Joe movie, they were going to do another season. The Sunbolt was going to do another season of G.I. Joe. Okay. And we was getting the original writers and everything, but they said they went with the DiC cartoon. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh no.
I don't.
So after the G.I. Joe animated movie, new people got a hold of the G.I. Joe property, and the DiC cartoon is considered to be not good.
I think I remember it vaguely.
Right. So everybody just says that the show ended with the movie. That's it. But they had been planning to do another season that would have had some really, really cool stuff in it. And I've been saying that I want to see an adaptation of that lost season in comic book format. That's what I want to see.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see that. I don't know. I'm not saying that a new G.I. Joe or a new Transformers comic has to be as campy or as lame as the original cartoons. One example, I don't know if you've seen G.I. Joe Resolute.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, I have watched that.
Right? I think that was done better. I think that was a
Okay.
better representation of having a more mature version of GI Joe than this comic is.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I think I remember this show. It came out on Cartoon Network, G.I. Joe Resolute.
Yeah,
that's right.
I think
This one, right?
I think that handled it better than the Skybound comics did.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, it was pretty decent. Yeah, it was a decent watch.
Yeah. But that's just where I stand. I mean, I know I'm, I might come across as being really hard headed about it.
You're such a prude, Ron.
Well, here's the thing. It's like listen,
like
having a standard there's nothing wrong with that having a standard. It's like, and I get it.
No.
And
even that statement, right? There's nothing wrong with having a standard. Yeah, of course not. We should have a standard. That's the problem. That's why we're having these conversations, because the standards have been lowered, like to the floor.
Yeah,
and that's why we see a lot of what we see nowadays, because the standards have been kind of erased.
right.
So it's like we got to get back to having standards, not just in quality. I think quality wise, when it comes to art, etc., it's there's been improvement, right? But when it comes to writing and storytelling, the standard has been lowered, I think. And the standard is not about the structure, of writing. The standard is like, what are you writing and what are you conveying? What's the message here? What's the theme that you're trying to highlight, right? And that's really what we're talking about. It's like, what's ultimately, whether you like the story or not, that in the Transformers series or Invincible or whatever, the question is, what's the end game? Like, what are they really trying to get at here? And it's important to be aware of that. Like, it's important to be aware that Kirkman is an atheist and that he essentially hates God, right? Like, or the concept of, in his mind, the concept of God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that is important to know, right? Just like you brought up H.P. Lovecraft. That's important to know that he was a racist, right? Whether you appreciate his writing or not, it's important to know that, right? Because then it allows you to see possibly what his intentions are in the writing, right? What's the message he's actually giving you if you know that this is the foundation he's starting from, right? That's important. And we've kind of strayed away from that. And I hear a lot of the comments about, I'm just so tired of politics and stories. I'm so tired of, and it's like, well, you're just going to be tired because it's not going away. It's always been there. The difference is, when you look at earlier writings, the writers understood how to write and they understood how to tell a story. And just like the gentleman mentioned, like, a good writer can tell a story from different vantage points where you almost don't even know what the writer believes, right? That's good writing. That's telling the truth. Writing is telling the truth. And unfortunately, with a lot more recent things, these writers choose not to tell the truth. They choose to tell, quote unquote, their truth, right? And we're starting to recognize that. And it's showing in sales, it's showing in the marketplace that a lot of people just don't like it. Because many people don't know why. They just understand, there's something about this story, this movie, this TV show that's not sitting right with me, And we do have the rare anomalies like Invincible or The Walking Dead, where Kirkman, to his credit, he's a good writer. You understand? So because he's a good writer, he's able to put in his worldview without isolating most of his audience. Until you become aware, you start to realize, wait a minute.
Let's face it, Kirkman has a blood and gore, fetish or whatever.
Well, it goes beyond that. That's what I'm saying. It's more of a nihilistic mindset and fatalistic, right? Yeah. He doesn't believe in an objective truth that is God. Therefore, everything's fair game, right? So that means, and so his perception of power and benevolence is very skewed. And you see that in not only in The Walking Dead, but especially in Invincible, right? I mean, what more represents godlike nature than a superhero, right? But he takes that and he turns it on its head, right? Like, what if a superhero didn't care about rescuing people?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because, two things that I found interesting during our conversation with Jamal and Ray is that Jamal, he brought up the point of the banana taped to the wall, But I don't know if he didn't. What he failed to mention is that after the guy taped the banana to the wall, what happened to the banana taped to the wall? He ate the banana because at the end of the day, the banana had no value. The value was the concept, the idea behind
isn't
it.
it?
Well, the banana itself had no value.
No, but isn't it Banksy, right?
No,
Wait,
it's
the banana
not
had a
Banksy.
value.
It's not. Oh, because I was going to say that's the point, though, is that it's a mockery of art itself, of postmodern art, that someone can tape a banana on the wall and someone actually sees that as art and pays money.
But my point is
that's the point of doing that kind of so-called art.
Well,
that's
the
why
purpose,
it's not art.
The purpose of the banana was to get eaten.
Well, yeah, exactly.
My point is that,
right. That's exactly right.
Right. But my point is that the banana itself had no value, artistic value. It was the concept, or as you would say, the story behind the thing. But the banana itself had no value, right? Like if you, for example, if I had a painting, right, that looked beautiful, even if I didn't know the story behind the painting or the idea behind the painting, I'd still keep the painting because it looks beautiful.
Yeah,
right. But the banana separated from the idea, and there's no value behind it. Also, the artist is Mauricio Catalan, and he is a real artist. He does sculptures and paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah, but clearly that wasn't meant to be real art, and that's what I'm saying. It's a mockery of the idea of how people perceive postmodern art. And that's all that was. And that's why it's interesting you brought it up, because it's like, yeah, that's not art. It wasn't really intended to be art, right? And that's kind of the irony of his example. And, and what I'm saying is the banana had no value, period. Even with the intention of the artist, it still had no value.
Hey guys,
the only value it had was what Ron said. The value is it's food to be eaten, right?
Yeah.
That's
what
it.
are you saying, Herogeek?
Yeah, I gotta get going.
Okay, thanks for hanging with us, man. We appreciate it.
All right, no problem, guys. It was fun as always.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Make it a wonderful day, man.
All right, bye, guys.
All right.
But yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying is that but I mean, I think we're saying the same thing again. But all I'm saying is that obviously it's like people are going to read into stuff what they want, but it's the whole curtains are the curtains are blue because of this, that, and the other. But like you could separate the I'm just saying when it comes to like stories, it's like it's the meaning behind stories that's important, right? And
I think it is important, but listen, in the world of art, Jamal was correct in saying it's subjective, right? But in that subjectivity, there is a good and bad, right? Just because you like it and I hate it doesn't mean the thing is bad or good, right? But you can't observe it and go, is that good or bad? Yes or no, right? And like the banana, right? It's like taped to a wall. Someone claimed it was art. Does that make it art? No, it doesn't. Just because the artist said it was art doesn't make it art. Just because someone paid money for it doesn't make it art, right? We can visually see it and objectively determine that is not art. That is a banana taped to a wall.
Yeah.
That is not art.
Right? You understand? The early season of The Boys were like that. I never got into The Boys.
Oh, the gore. It was really gory.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes, you're introduced to Huey and his girlfriend, and she gets obliterated by A-Train.
A-Train.
Because he's running super fast and he's not paying attention to where he's going because he's like
right. But there was a point.
It's the most. Well, it does. It drives the narrative. That's for sure. Yeah. It does. And part of the reason why at least the first season I can kind of give him a pass because I know in the comics that's just how it is. So, but two, it does drive the narrative because it creates the context of which what drives Huey to join the boys and do what he does, and because this is someone he deeply cared about, and she's dead, and no one cared but him and his dad.
Well, it's funny you mentioned it's funny you mentioned the comics, Dad, because the comics, ironically, are objectively worse than
and not only that, the narrative is very different. How
there is no, it's like there almost is no narrative. It's just
no, there's a narrative, but it's very fatalistic. There's no winning. I'll put it like nobody really wins.
It's just a bunch of them. It's just it's
very depressing.
The boys going around just killing soups. All the soups are evil, sadistic versions of tropes that are already used to.
There's no redeeming quality. And then for the boys, it's the same. Like they get to a point where they're so morally, and even Huey kind of starts to realize that with Billy Butcher, right? Like they've kind of devolved into something that it's like we're no better. Like we're no better than the heroes. Like that's kind of what it becomes. So, like I said,
and also, Afrocentric Jukebox mentioned the point I was saying. Every single shonen manga is meant for kids, right? And a lot of them, Fist of the North Star, early Dragon Ball was nuts. You couldn't get away with the stuff they put in Dragon Ball. In American comics, and I know it's a cultural thing, and it's also like, what can kids handle, right? Master Roshi isn't a character you would expect in a comic for kids, right? Because he's a huge pervert. But it's what they actually, it's the character's purpose within the story. That's the whole point. Right.
Yeah, but a lot of that's driven by Japanese culture on a whole. Right? There's certain dynamics that it's very different from the West. From the U.S. that somewhat invites that type of thing. So
and I'm not saying it's all good, but when I am acknowledging.
No, I agree. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, but you also have to look at it from a cultural. Getting back to objectivity, there is objectively good and bad. There's some things that's like, this is bad, right? Regardless of how good you think the story is, right? It's like what they're promoting here is terrible. Right? So that does happen with some of these mangas, and even some make it to anime. Like even me and your brother were watching one that evolved into depravity. So unfortunately, so it's like it doesn't matter. Like, oh, but it was so good. It's like, yeah, but look at what it's doing, like what's happening. Like,
which anime was it?
Man, what was it? It was something about hell.
Oh well, that's all I needed to know. That's all I needed to know.
Right, It was something about.
Something about evil.
Something about hell. It definitely lived up to the. It was like, what was it? It was. If he's still watching, he can put in the comments. But it was. It was. We were watching it up to a good, like almost to the end of the. Yeah, we made it to the end of the first season. And it was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I think the second season began, and there was a scene, and it was like, we noped out. And actually, he noped out, and then he just told me about it. And I was like, okay, I'm like,
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because he was white. He was like, oh, yeah, he just turned it off. He's like, yeah, you don't want to see it. I was like, okay, I take his word for it. So
that's all I needed to know.
So there are some, and it's like, is this a Japanese culture thing? Probably, I don't know. Like if it's meant to be shonen, but then you're putting very risque, very inappropriate things for young boys to see, right?
Well, if it was something like what I think you're talking about, it probably wasn't Shonen Jump. It was probably something else. Your point still stands.
It was a shonen. I believe it was a shonen. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
that's kind of like what's going on here. So now, to your point, maybe it's changed quite a bit. Where just because it's labeled shonen doesn't mean it's for that age group anymore. That's certainly possible. I mean, so
most definitely.
I'll stand to be corrected on that. But yeah, it's like some things, even as an adult, I'm like, I'm not.
No thanks.
Yeah, that's kind of what gets back to telling the truth and objective truth. That's kind of what I'm getting at is even as an adult, just because it's for adults doesn't mean you should watch it as an adult or engage with it, right? So that's where discernment and, like we mentioned earlier, principles, etc., comes in, right? So
that's true.
Yeah, I wanted to before we end, I wanted to bring up Godzilla, right? Because apparently Toho. First of all, Toho has a chief Godzilla officer, so I wanted to marinate on that for a second.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that?
How cool is it to be a chief Godzilla officer? I have never heard that title before.
Yeah, chief Godzilla officer.
That is awesome. I want to be a chief Godzilla officer one day. That is really cool. But they're going to establish their own Godzilla universe, similar to Legendary. You know how they did in the West. They're going to start doing their own. And it's going to be the Godzilla world. So that's awesome.
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's kind of ironic that they don't really have to do all that because in many ways, Godzilla was the first, quote unquote, cinematic universe because you had Godzilla.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
You had Rodan, you had Mothra. Yeah. They all had their own standalone movies.
Yeah, they were doing it
every once in a while.
Right? Yeah.
But every once in a while, they would come together and, destroy all monsters.
Yeah, destroy all exactly. One of my favorites.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were already doing that without.
I know. It even did King Kong versus Godzilla. So we had the East meets West and all that. Yeah. So
the only thing
they kind of already established it. So
they haven't done is if they really want to take advantage of this quote unquote Godzilla world thing, is they got to do something that we haven't seen before, which is Godzilla versus Gamera. There's never been a Godzilla versus Gamera movie.
That is true.
I don't know why they haven't done that.
Yeah, Gamera stands in its own Gamera verse, right? There's at least 3 or 4. Actually, there's way more than that, right?
No, there's a lot of Gamera movies.
Yeah.
There's probably as many Gamera movies as there are Godzilla movies.
Yeah, and I love Gamera. I really did. I think I may have loved Gamera more than Godzilla. Because Gamera, the way they painted Gamera was he was a monster hero. Godzilla wasn't always a hero. Godzilla sometimes was the villain, right? But with Gamera, he was always, and he was a hero to kids.
Yep.
They always had the two or three kids in the movie where they're even the first one where the kid flushes the toilet down the drain, and then Gamera appears months later to fight off the, he's like, oh, it's my turtle, right? That was hilarious, right? So it's Gamera, that would be pretty awesome if they could bring those two worlds together and do a versus. I don't mind that, but hopefully it will become a team up, right? Or something like that.
No, I think the
question is who's going to win. That's going to be because Gamera is a hero. I'm sorry, but he's always a hero.
Well, that's what I mean. It just needs
Godzilla is a force of nature, so he's not necessarily evil, right? He just does what he does because he's this creature that does these things on the earth, and they have consequences, right? But Gamera is objective. He's a defender of mankind and of children. So that'd be interesting to pit them against each other because it's okay, so this force of nature is going to fight this monster hero,
Yeah,
that'd be pretty epic. I'll be there for that. I would definitely jump in on that. So.
Yeah, and I don't really want to team up because there's a lot of team ups already. It's we don't.
You gotta have a team up at some point.
No, we don't. We need Gamera to just kill Godzilla.
That's supposed to be
or Godzilla to kill Gamera.
A good guy.
No, he's not. He's not supposed to be a good. Godzilla is whatever writers need him to be. Most of the time, he's a jerk.
That's what I was saying. He's a force of nature. He
no. I mean, he's just
-1. He's this force of nature that's happening. He's a charging bull. It's
in the old movies, he's usually just part of my language. He's usually just an asshole, even when he's a good guy.
Oh, I know that. That's what I'm saying. But I'm talking about his portrayal in -1. He's just this force of nature.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
They're dealing with something that's what is this thing? How do we, So that's kind of what makes it very compelling. It is Godzilla versus the world, right? And the world is losing until brave men step up and do what's necessary. So that's kind of the general, But
that's true.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would love at least even just rebooting Gamera and just having its own universe. That would be maybe doing a Godzilla like character in the universe if they can't cross it over.
I don't see why they can't. It's all Toho. Actually, no, that's not true.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's
Gamera is different.
Gamera is owned by Daiei Film. That's why they have it.
Gamera's a whole different, it's a whole different vibe with Gamera. That's what I'm saying. So
it's owned by a different company too. That's fine.
So, but Caffeinated Wolf says shonen are called shonen because they're made for shonen, which means
shonen means young boy.
Yeah, it's definitely an age range, and it's kind of like, like what the heck's going on in Japan when you're, allowing this stuff to be made and calling it shonen, and it clearly is inappropriate. But
it is depending on what show you're talking about, I could confirm whether it's actually shonen or not.
I mean, even in My Hero, that's definitely shonen, and they got a scene. I mean, it's with the invisible girl, but they imply nudity and all these different, and the purple guy, he's just pervert. I mean, you understand? Now part of it's like, that's kind of junior high school. There's always these archetypes, right? But at the same time, they're not afraid to go there, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like
I mean, to be fair, they never really glorify Mineta as like.
No, that's true. They don't, but he's definitely a likable character.
More like a running joke gag. I don't like Mineta, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so don't really need even in the most innocent of shonen, you'll still see what's been called fan service, right? So that's kind of my point. Is Gurren Lagann's another one, right? They have a lot of fan service, and it's like, this is for kids, guys. What are you doing, right? So,
Gurren Lagann, I don't know if that's for kids. I don't think that's for kids. I think that's just.
Thrag has joined the chat. We're in trouble.
I think we'll survive. We talked too much. We talked too much smack about Invincible.
Yeah, you didn't like what we were saying about Invincible.
But I don't think
he made a truce with Mark. So I guess I has to defend Mark.
But I don't think anything Gainax makes is for kids.
I mean, but it's all shonen though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, it's not. That's what I mean. I don't think.
No, it is. That's they do shonen type. You understand? But they
right. But just because they have the same like tropes doesn't mean that it's.
Okay, then what is it? It's not. It's categorized as that. If you go into a store to buy the DVDs, it's going to be labeled as shonen. Shonen Jump. That's what I'm saying. Like it is.
Well, that's what I mean. That is shonen. So Shonen Jump is the actual name of the magazine, right?
I know that, but I'm talking about it is a category, and I'm saying those titles are categorized as shonen, but they have adult content. You know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm making. They know what they're doing. They're making this stuff, and they know it falls under shonen, but then they allow it to be labeled that. That's the point I'm making. Knowing that young boys are gonna watch it, right? You understand? that's all I'm saying. Like it's labeled that way. It's gonna appeal to that audience because it has all the tropes of a shonen, but then they throw in the adult stuff, right? You follow? That is problematic. I'm sorry, but it is, right? And like I said, it may be an extension of generally Japanese culture in itself. That maybe there's not a lot of censorship and things like that. I don't know, but you follow what I'm saying? Like I understand that stuff that may have those tropes in it, but it's not made for. But there are things like Gainax. They make it for that. They categorize it as that. It's labeled as that when it's sold. Do you understand? It's in those categories. Like it's not like it's some obscure adult and then they happen to find it. Like no, it's labeled that way. Like it's like you can't. Obviously they don't care, so it's there.
I would say because there's a good amount of Japanese people that I mean, that's kind of where the whole otaku thing comes from. Is sort of like otaku in Japan is a more of a derogatory word because
Yeah, I know.
even like Japanese people don't subscribe to all the stuff that
Right, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's probably just in general something that extends from Japanese culture in some way. But yeah, I agree. Not all Japanese people engage with it or like it, right? So, and that's fair. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. But I'm excited about the Godzilla world. I'm here for it, man. So do it. More Godzilla.
They gotta bring back more old monsters. We need to see Jet
Yeah.
Jaguar.
I mean, I give Legendary credit. They brought in all the classic, Rodan and everything, and Mothra.
That was for one movie.
I know that, but I wish they would have slowed it down a bit and let the world breathe and do more like individual monster battles and things like right. That would have been Ghidorah. Like that would have been really epic. But generally, what they did. Listen. It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good. It's watchable. It's fun to watch. As long as you're not looking for some deep story, you're gonna get Godzilla in all his glory and all these great monsters.
There's rumors that they're trying to bring back Space Godzilla, which should be pretty interesting.
Okay, yeah, that'll be legendary or Toho.
Yeah, legendary.
Okay. Yeah,
Space Godzilla is a trip.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm here. Like I said, just have fun with it. As long as they keep, and it looks like that's what they've been doing is having fun with it. So, hopefully they've learned some lessons from the previous ones, and then they'll just refine and make it even better, right? The next one. So, hopefully they're still moving forward and doing it because King Kong versus Godzilla was okay. The story was kind of dumb, but listen, it was fun seeing King Kong fight Godzilla, and then they introduced Mecha Godzilla, which I felt was premature, but and I didn't really like that design. Hopefully, they'll reintroduce Mecha Godzilla, and it'll be even better, like even more epic, and sort of So
the best Mecha Godzilla design is the OG one and the one from
that's facts. Yeah.
I think it was Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla 2. It's the one where Mecha Godzilla gets possessed by the ghost of the original Mecha Godzilla because that's a thing that happens. I'm not even joking.
How does a mechanized
So Dad, let me explain. So
you mean like the software or something like?
No. So what happened was in the context of the movie. Because originally the movie was supposed to be Godzilla versus Ghost Godzilla. That was a real movie they were going to make. But they changed it to Mecha Godzilla. So in the plot of the movie, this movie in particular, they built Mecha Godzilla over the bones of the original 1954 Godzilla.
Oh.
And something happened. It glitched. Something happened during the fight where the ghost of Godzilla resurrects and possesses Mecha Godzilla, and it goes on a rampage. So now the new Godzilla has to fight the old Godzilla.
That's where they got that from.
That's where they got that from. Yeah,
that's where they got it from. So, because I'm like, what?
Yeah,
but
that happens
Ghidorah for some reason.
Ghidorah,
I'm like, that's kind of dumb, but I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm here for it. It was fun to watch. So, but yeah, Grand Regent Thrag is Richard Knights will live along you. Will live along, I guess, with you humans as long as you let us be. Yeah. You don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. All right. Don't step on my toes, I won't step on yours.
Don't step on Snake. Oh, okay.
But yeah, let's look out for Godzilla World, man. I'm excited. So, but that's all I have. Do you have anything else you want to add? It's after 1 o'clock.
No, I do want to thank Marcus's friends again, Jamal and Ray, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I do want them to know that we do appreciate them for being on the show.
We do, yeah. Please, if you guys want, feel free to come back. Just let us know. Just reach out to us. Reach out to Marcus. He has Jerry's Discord and everything, and we can make it happen. So, yeah, I'd love to have you back and just talk about comics and entertainment in general. And maybe we can get into that theological conversation again.
Well, I don't know about that, but I think
we can solve the mysteries of the world on the live.
But I do think I do want to encourage you guys to check out their work. I actually just followed Jamal on Instagram.
Share it in the comments.
I will, yeah. And check out their stuff, and check out Marcus's stuff as well.
I'll
put his link superhero, and I'll put all of those links in the comments for you guys.
Yeah, and he's doing great stuff with kids and getting them inspired to do comics themselves, as well as just to live life and strive for greater things. So it's wonderful. It's always wonderful when, especially young men, get out there and influence the world for the better. So I appreciate Marcus for that. And hopefully he'll join us next time. We'll see. I hope everything's okay with him. I hope it wasn't like an emergency or anything. Hopefully he's just busy, got caught up in something. So
yeah, that's fair.
All the best to you, Marcus. And yeah, man, if you want to come on next week, just let us know, man. You're always welcome. So.
I know, Marcus. You pulled a Rita Repulsa on us. You sent out your monsters.
Listen, they were great, man. So
yeah,
you can all come back if you want. Yeah,
yeah, please do. Please do.
All right, you guys, go ahead and check out our site, supergalacticfantastic.com. Join our email list and get a free 12-page digital comic. And yeah, we're working on our comic still. We're getting more pages made. I was talking to artists this week so we could get some more pages done. So that's in the works. And yeah, we're just moving forward. We're also working on a coloring book, which was Jerry Jr.'s idea. And I thought, man, that's kind of brilliant. So we're developing a coloring book as well. And that's going to be made available as soon as possible. So we got a lot of things in the pipeline. So
it's something for, we want to thank you guys for sticking with us, and we do want to give you something while we wait for the book.
Yeah, definitely.
It's cool. It's for all ages, obviously.
It's for anybody.
A lot of the artists who are great artists, and it does have a sneak peek of some of the comic panels you'll see in the final comic. So
that's right.
Check it out. Hopefully, we'll get it done about in a few weeks from now. So if you see us at
maybe another week or two, right?
Yeah. So if you see us at any cons, I know Anime Expo's coming up or whatever, hit us up and we'll have those books ready for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
yeah. Thanks, everyone, and have a super galactic Saturday.
We'll see you around.